Hello.
Yeah, that's your name.
Squirrels got me.
Big Jim.
Yeah.
Really cold and fun.
Cold and fun.
Cold and fun.
That's good that you think that of it, because that's what deer hunting typically is cold and fun.
Yesterday morning, I'm glassing up on the pass, and I see these deer moving. And I'm like, ooh, there's some deer moving. All of a sudden, I just see this person just head down, just hauling ass, wearing shorts and a T-shirt with a pack on. And I'm like, is that Tard? My dad always talks about floating through the woods like the autumn breeze.
So Robert's
when you're
the
275 pounds, I don't know how you do that, but
the Freightliner. It's just like a creeper. You're just kind of up in the corner watching what's going on down there.
Yeah.
You know.
He's like,
he's up there slapping, pissing all over everything.
Is it warm yet?
How did you know the name of the actor?
That's right. I know.
How did you say his name?
Hervé Villechaize.
You know what Pertnear means.
If you know what Pertnear means and you live in America, you're a redneck too.
Welcome to the Log Talk Podcast, brought to you by Pertnear Outdoors. Hey everybody, welcome to episode 37 and a live recording of the Log Talk Podcast. So we did this live recording on Thursday the 23rd at night. We got a group of us together to chat about spring turkey hunting and get into asking some listener questions, as well as kind of just have some storytelling and get the guys together to share some of their past experiences in the turkey woods and expectations for the upcoming season. So it is a long one. We were on for a little over 2 hours, so I'm not going to talk too much here. The only thing I want to update everybody on is the contest that we are currently running, a fundraiser for National Wild Turkey Federation. If you go on Facebook, we are doing a fundraiser on Facebook, so it's a little bit easier for everybody to just jump in and donate, and your donation is your entry into the contest. So it's on all of our personal pages, on the Pertnear page on Facebook, as well as Jimmy, myself, and Danny. We've all reshared it on our personal pages. So if you have any challenges finding it, just reach out to us and we'll be happy to help you out. And if you don't have Facebook and would like to participate, we can also figure a way out there to get your donation. It's a $15 donation to enter. And then we're doing 4 different categories for prizes, and we had some sponsors step up to help us out. We had Hunting Western New York, so Russ Morgan over at Hunting Western New York hooked us up with a couple of his Rut Madness Challenge entries for this upcoming deer season, which is a really fun, kind of community. It gets you together to, if you haven't done it and don't know about it, Hunting Western New York is a fun group here. It really covers all of Western New York and gets people involved, puts you on a team of 4 to compete throughout the entire deer season. It's a good deal there. So Russ hooked us up with a couple entries. So we've got that, and then also Whitetail Company, which is an apparel brand that Russ Morgan also started. He hooked us up with a $50 gift card and for his apparel company. And then John Peterson with his company Deadhead European Mounts. He hooked us up with a free European mount for this upcoming deer season. And lastly, we have some stuff. I guess we also have an Onyx membership, free premium membership. So that's a 1-state, 1-year membership that can be won with that, as well as some knives and a hat donated from NWTF. So that will be the prize haul that's there. But what we're doing is we've got a top bird, which is going to be beard length and spur length with the measurements that NWTF uses. So you're multiplying the beard length total by 2, and then the spur length will be measuring the spurs, adding them together, and then multiplying it by 10. So that'll be our top bird category, and the prizes for that is the 1-year Onyx membership and the Deadhead European mount. So that's a nice little prize haul there. We're going to have a best spur category, so it'll just be measuring your spurs. Then we'll have a longest bird. So the prize for the best spurs is going to be a $50 Whitetail Company gift card and 1 entry to the Hunting Western New York Rut Madness Challenge this upcoming fall. And then we will be the next category will be longest bird. So kind of playing off of what the guys from the hunting public have been doing. with measuring the length of the bird. That's kind of a fun thing. So this is going to go. We're going to have the contestants, if you shoot a bird, you measure it from the beak to the longest tail feather. So stretch the bird out laying down and take that measurement, and that will be the winner of that will get an entry to the 2020 Rut Madness Challenge for hunting Western New York. And then lastly, we're going to do a youth bird. So it must be 15 years or younger. And with that, the winner will get an NWTF hat and a knife set and from NWTF, and that will be beard length and spur length just as the top bird, but it'll be basically the top youth bird. So all of those, the way it's being done, we're not going to have like any check stations or anything. It's all going to be self-report. So if you're participating and you shoot a bird, you need to take measurements of the bird and take pictures of the measurements with some kind of identifier in the picture, whether it be the tag with your name on it and the date, or if you would like to and don't want to put your information out there like that, we understand. So if you want to take a note card and write your name and the date on it so we can confirm, have some confirmation of exactly what all is going on there. And you also must report within 24 hours. So all that stuff, once you guys get a bird on the ground, we'll cross that bridge if anybody has any questions there. But definitely encourage everyone to check out this contest. We're having a lot of fun with it. We've already raised over $500 to go straight back to NWTF, and just a good cause, and trying to get everybody engaged and involved. So check it out. Fundraiser runs through the end of the May turkey season here in New York, so you can donate at any time. So even if you don't want to participate in the contest, you can donate anywhere from $5 to $500, and that will go to the cause that we are raising money directly for NWTF. So that's all I got. Let's have fun with this episode. There's a lot of good stuff in here. These guys are pretty successful bird hunters, and I think we've got some good tips coming at you. And again, appreciate everybody's engagement. There was a lot of questions and back and forth on Facebook, and we had a lot of fun with that. So thanks, everybody. Good luck this weekend to the youth hunters hitting the woods, and good luck next weekend, opening day. Thank you. Feedinum. He's going to join us once the girls are to bed. So he's doing that duty right now. Johnny, are you wearing that? Is that the Feedinum hat?
Hey, man, I went and got it. I told you I was going.
Holy shit.
No, this ain't the Feedinum. This is Uncle Dickie's.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, nice.
This hat has inspired me to go and buy a box call down out of southeastern PA. Now I got to make sure that, because I have the attire, I got to match it with Mr. Dickie's call, or Uncle Dickie's call. So he's getting a little plug here.
Nice.
That's awesome. So we'll go ahead and get this thing started. I think so. Everybody, we've confirmed that everything's good on Facebook and YouTube.
Yep.
Is that right? We're good. All right.
Yep.
So thanks everybody for jumping on for this, I guess our third live podcast edition. And tonight we're going to be focusing primarily on turkey hunting, as that is the season that is approaching us, youth this weekend, and then starting with the big boys and girls next weekend on next Friday, the 1st of May. So I got a group of guys on here. As I've mentioned, Danny and I are pretty much rookies when it comes to turkey hunting, self-proclaimed. But the rest of the guys that are on here are pretty successful turkey hunters, and thought it'd be fun to get them on and answer some of the questions that we've had thrown at us over the last couple of weeks, and then just kind of have some fun banter back and forth, maybe share a couple stories and just see where the conversation goes from there. So first I'll run down the line and introduce everybody and kind of what their connection is to us at Pertnear Outdoors. And then from there, I will let each one of you guys kind of introduce yourselves a little bit, maybe share how long you've been turkey hunting, and what your I guess we'll just do that. I don't want to get too far into things, but just kind of I'll introduce you, and then we'll just go down the horn. So first I'll start with, we'll go oldest to youngest. So I feel it's important to identify Big Willie first. So hi, Dad. I love the cute little turkey you got, stuffed turkey up behind you. Thanks for bringing the festivity tonight.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to our turkey chat tonight and give you a little background. I started hunting turkeys in the mid 70s, probably around 1975, and there was none up in this area. So it was a major road trip with my father and some of his buddies to Allegheny State Park. And we used to rent a cabin and wear our red deer hunting clothes and go out and not see any turkeys. So it was, that's how I started, but it's amazing to have watched them move up into our region and the population exploded the way it has. So happy to be here tonight. Looking forward to it.
Thanks for you being here. And I can tell you're pretty excited about this because you've rearranged the entire living room and you have proper lighting. Oh, it's great. Thank you, Mom, for allowing Dad to tear the house apart for this tonight. What are you feeding over there, Dad? You drinking whiskey?
I am drinking a little single barrel black button out of Rochester.
Nice.
Very good sipping bourbon.
I guess the next the youngest from the oldest would probably be Brian Gottfried. I don't know. Johnny, you guys might be about the same age, but I'm going to start with Brian. So we got Brian Gottfried and also his buddy Andrew Noble are coming to us mobile out in the field. And what's happening, boys? So Brian, you may have heard Brian on the podcast with us before. Brian is an HFL alum along with Jimmy and I, and he is the regional coordinator for NWTF for essentially the western half of New York. Is that correct?
Close.
Then,
Regional director.
Close. Okay. Well, those are just titles and semantics, But and then Andrew, I met Andrew at a BHA event back during the winter, the Upland Bird Project or Project Upland, whatever it was called. But Andrew is good buddies and NWTF compadres with Brian. So that's how you guys are connected. So tell us a little bit about yourselves and your turkey hunting backgrounds, you two.
All right, I'll go first. I've been turkey hunting since I was 12, so that's about 27 years. Started hunting right around the Finger Lakes with a mentor hunter. Didn't have anybody in my family that hunted, and I was at the DEC, and I filled out a thing for the Apprentice Hunter program and got paired up with the manager of natural resources out of the Avon office, and he was a big turkey hunter and bird hunter in general. So been turkey hunting since then, and now it's turned into being a regional director for the NWTF. And my buddy Andrew, we both went to Paul Smith's college, and he sits on the state board. We were volunteers at the same time before I was hired as staff, and he can give you his turkey background.
Yeah, I started turkey hunting in Vermont.
If you couldn't tell by his accent.
Back when I was 15 years old. So this 21 years of field for me. I sit on the state board for National Wild Turkey Federation for New York State, and I'm chapter president of my local in Schoharie County, down around the Cobleskill, Kobe Rock, if any are familiar. Been turkey hunting most probably the last 11 years in the Cobleskill area, central New York, and that's why I love central New York, is the turkey hunting is phenomenal.
Oh, Jesus. I just had to double check myself, and now I'm confusing things. So yeah, it's and you just recently won, Andrew, won an award for a video you had put together, a turkey hunting video, right?
Yeah, we got honorable mention for it was
Morning Thunder or something.
It was through Morning Thunder Production.
Jesus.
I'm trying to remember the name of the actual. It's actually a European award. It was my buddy Jesse St. Andre that did the production. And he works for Project Upland and also for Morning Thunder. But that was a pretty cool video. I'll try to share that link at some point if anybody wants to see the video. It will be posted on Morning Thunder pretty soon too for a pump up video for the spring.
Nice.
Yeah, and I watched that video. I think you guys had posted the link when you did
the monocular.
Yeah. Like a single nocular is what that is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just
correct.
one nocular.
Yeah. Very unpractical. I don't know why that was even a thing before, but it's whatever happened.
My
All
buddy
right,
actually bought a Vortex one this year for his turkey vest just to cut down on weight.
It's not.
There he goes, being practical.
Yeah, being practical. Yeah, you might as well get one of those, whatever, one of those old European microscope things, whatever they called those.
Hey, I think the first form of magnification I ever hung off my neck was while I was turkey hunting with a monocular. It didn't last long, but that was probably the first form of magnification I ever had, and it was definitely while I was turkey hunting.
I did too. I still have it.
Yeah, Dad had that one we always used to play with when we were out scouting and stuff.
That was my very first optics.
If I dig deep, I could probably find mine as well. I'm hard pressed to throw anything away that's hunting related.
Yeah, it's a tough one to explain at home, but JP, you're talking, so I'll introduce you real quick. So John Peterson, he is one of our I've gotten to know John through my in-laws and through that hunting group. So Johnny is from out here in Wyoming County, and a very passionate turkey hunter, a successful deer hunter. And he also has a company he just started up that is Deadhead. Does a lot of European mounts, some custom plaques and things like that too. So John, I will just give him a plug on that. And he was kind enough. We're running the turkey challenge that we're doing, the Pertnear Outdoors 2020 Turkey Challenge, to raise money for NWTF. And John was a big help helping us get that put together, as he's been in turkey contests before. And he also donated a European mount for this fall for the buck that you shoot. Whoever that is that wins that prize, you'll get a nice European mount done from Johnny. So that's my little intro for you, sir. So what's your turkey background?
Guys, so first of all, nice to meet all of you. Bill Senior, Jimmy, obviously heard your names before. I might have done some plaques for you guys or some Euro mounts in the past as well. I think Jimmy, I did one for you a couple years ago, did I not?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, is that the one that's hanging on the front of the cabin, Jimmy?
Yeah, but
no, that was a different one. I think I want to say
Farrell do that.
The archery buck I shot with when me and Billy both shot those 8 points at the same time. Yeah. I think it was that one.
Yeah, it was.
But anyways, getting into the turkey hunting. So yeah, I've been turkey hunting since as early as I could, which was 1993. I was 12 years old. Started then, never stopped. Pursued turkeys in Virginia, Pennsylvania. Actually harvested turkeys there as well, along with obviously New York. Always been a huge turkey hunter. I guess if you would ask me if I like deer hunting or turkey hunting more, you would have to ask me during that season. Considering that we're coming up on turkey season, I would say that I like turkey hunting more. But if you'd ask me in October, I'm going to say that I like deer hunting more. So I guess that would give, a little insight into, how passionate I am about it. But yeah, so like Billy said, I helped out a little bit with the contest that we got going on. I was in some contests in the past through Russ Morgan and the Rut Mendes Challenge that he has here in Western New York, and placed second in one time. Actually lost on the last day. I shot my bird on opening day, and then a guy beat me in that contest the very last day of the season. So that kind of was a bummer, but regardless. But no, so yeah, we got youth season coming up, and I finally have an opportunity with one of my nephews. So I'm really psyched about that. I'm probably more excited about going turkey hunting this year in the capacity of helping others. So I got my nephew, and I got a good friend of mine that is just getting into turkey hunting. And to be honest, I mean, I could really care less about my own success. I'm going to find, my success through their success for the most part this year. And I'm just happy to have the opportunity to share this with people that are new into this sport. And I really hope that I can share my passion with them.
That's what it's all about. It's exciting stuff. And looks like the weather's finally going to turn around this weekend too. So those birds should be fired up. All right.
Yeah, I've been scouting the last 3 weeks, so hopefully we'll be on one Saturday.
Stay away from Bear Road, Johnny. I'm watching you. I know what your truck looks like. All right, Danny boy. So everybody knows who Danny is. Danny's one of the Pertnear. I guess he's our CFO. I think that's his official title, and our chief technology officer. So that's what Danny does. What's your experience turkey hunting, Danny? You've never shot one, have you?
That's correct. Don't have much experience. More of a chicken guy myself, but I'm along for the ride. I'm ready to learn.
Beautiful. Thanks, Danny. Thank you for being here. You're feeding bush, right?
Bush light today.
Beautiful.
I doubled up my allotment for tonight, so looking to have a good night.
Nice. All right. Last on here, Brian will join us a little late, Brian Kirschwell, but Jimbo is last but not least, the young chicken here. And so Jimmy is my brother. Jimmy is one of the other Pertnear pro staff team ultra members, whatever you want to call us. He's focused on the killing portion of Pertnear Outdoors. So that's what Jimmy does. Danny and I spend all of our time on social media and with podcasts and stuff of that nature. Jimmy's out in the field actually trying to fill the freezer. So Jimbo, thanks for joining us. And what's your turkey hunting background for everybody listening?
Well, I'd say I got the itch at a very early age. I was actually trying to remember this the other day. Dad, you probably remember. Was the first bird I shot on the youth hunt, or was that on the year before the youth hunt? You're mute, Willie.
You shot your very first bird on the very first day of the youth season, your very first youth hunt.
So that would have made me 13 then, wouldn't it? Because I only had a couple of years of the youth hunt.
Yeah, because it started, you turned of age. You were 13 when that started, when that began. I think that was the very first year of a youth hunt weekend, which is where we all fell in love with hunting the last weekend in April because it was hot. It was very
those are always the best weekends, but definitely caught the itch there. And we should probably at some point tonight share the story of that first bird because that was a great story.
Yeah, it was a good shot.
From the point that he fired up to the point that Dad was rolling down the hill after him. Great story all the way throughout. So we should share that at some point tonight. But that was about 18 years ago now, 17, 18 years ago now. So pretty much since then, it's been all the way through college and everything. You know, you're getting out 10 o'clock in the morning if that's when you can get out. And I seem to get birds every year, and nothing I love more than getting out in the woods during turkey season.
Why don't you tell that story right now, Jim, since it's hot on your mind? Your first turkey.
So we heard some gobbling right off the bat. It was me, Dad, and our buddy Joel. Joel was videotaping and Dad was calling, and we had this big tree. And we put rocks around it so you could sit. You had like seating spots around this tree.
It was a really big tree.
Yeah, we call it the big oak, hence the big oak. So about 7:30, nothing was going on. So we stood up and we were all eating a granola bar, having a snack, and a bird gobbled at the other end of the field. And we were like, oh, we should sit down and try to call them. And we sat down and threw out one call, and they just came running from one end of the field to the other. And he turned up at about 35 yards and stuck his head straight up, and I just rolled him over backwards. And he didn't even flinch. He just buckled. I mean, it was actually pretty good video. It was back on the tape videos, but the video was fantastic. He curled the corner and stopped, and I just piled him, and he didn't flinch. But Dad was so excited because it was my first bird that he was freaking up off the ground running about by the time the trigger pull got over with. And he got way out in front of himself, and he went freaking somersaulting down the hill and across the field. And he came up about 5 yards short of the bird. And I just walked past him and grabbed the bird. I'm like, what the hell are you doing on the ground?
Yeah, I never made it to the bird. And I hit so hard that it knocked the wind out of me. And the funny thing was I had a diaphragm call in my mouth when I fell, and we haven't seen it since. Never did find it. And there was kind of looked like a small plane had crash landed there. There was dirt flying everywhere, and all my gear was spread all over. There was a debris field, and I stopped short of the turkey. Never made it to him, but yeah, that was one of those deals where you get running down hill and the top part of your body is way out in front of your legs and it just doesn't end well, you know?
Yeah.
Especially when the top side of your body's as big as mine.
Yeah. Yeah. You
Oh,
look
that was
like SpongeBob SquarePants when you're running.
I move pretty
That's all
fast.
That's all it took to get me started right there.
We were
like,
hooked.
I'm not going to run after him like that, but it was fun shooting him. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have some awesome video from back in the days that, you know, on the old school camcorders that you guys took, Dad, you know, with hunting with Jimmy and getting his bird. So we've been talking, we got to try to get some of that stuff converted over so we can put it online somewhere.
Yeah. I got the videos. I got to get going back through them.
We have that video somewhere too.
We do. Yes, we do.
So I got actually a story from the same exact day. So the very first day of the youth season in New York, I was able to take my brother out. So this is the same day that Jimmy shot that bird, right? Yep. So it's my brother's first time turkey hunting. So, and I think he was probably 14 or 15 at the time. And I take him out, scouted a bird the day before, and we just got this thing. It was a beautiful morning. It was just perfect turkey weather that day. And we got this bird screaming right off the bat. And he comes out to the field, just picture perfect, kind of hangs up a little bit. I switch up calls and I see him coming in, right? And we're on this field edge and, you know, I'm not right next to my brother, so I can't communicate with him that well about what he needs to be doing. And, you know, not taking into consideration, I was young at that time too, and kind of naive in how people don't really know how to approach it, especially when a bird is close. You need to really talk them through, which I'm hoping is going to help me with coaching my nephew on Saturday. But anyways, this bird is probably within like 10 yards. And I'm like, why isn't he shooting? And I'm just looking at the bird. I'm not looking at him and I don't want to move him. I go, why isn't he shooting? All of a sudden he lifts his gun up. I'm like, oh, great. We're busted. So he lifts his gun up and the bird puts its head up and start putting. And I go, shoot. And I'm up and I'm already ready to run. And he floors this thing at like 30 yards on the run. And I jump over him, like running after the bird. I'm like, I don't know how many BBs it caught, but it probably wasn't many. I'm like, I'm going to have to tackle this thing. So I'm running through this muddy field and I get on it. And he comes out, he starts yelling at me. He's like, you jumped over me. What if I would have shot you? And I'm screaming. I'm ecstatic because my foot is on the head of this bird. I'm like, yeah, man, you got him. And he's like, he didn't know what to do, had no idea like what was going on. And he couldn't understand like how excited I was, but he was mad at me because I literally jumped over him going after that bird. I yelled shoot and I started to run. And I mean, we came away with the bird. It was a great day. The thing was, I mean, it was rolling around in the mud. It was, you've seen the pictures and I'm sure we've all harvested them in those muddy fields where the feathers are just absolutely destroyed. This thing was sopping wet, but yeah, so we had similar success on that same exact day, the very first youth season hunt of New York.
The youth hunts are awesome. You get out there that week before everybody else does, and it seems like that's always the best weekend of hunting every year. Brian, have you guys had the opportunity to, either one of you or Andrew, take youth out hunting on their first hunts or just out on a youth hunt in general?
Just about every year. The chapter that I started for the Turkey Federation, the Crossroads Limb Hangers out of Lima, we do a youth hunt every year. Up until this year, it's been out of the Shortsville Rod and Gun Club. And this year we had it all scheduled and ready to go to be out of the Honeoye Rod and Gun Club, I believe. And we'd get mentors and we'd get kids that hadn't hunted before and pair them up together and send them out for the weekend. We'd meet up the night before or the weekend before and pair up the mentors and the hunters. And then we'd pattern guns and kids would either make a box call or a slate call. They'd get a turkey vest and a hat or something. And so I've taken kids out every year for that. And before that, I mean, my landlords in college, when I went to college in Cobleskill, where Andrew lives, I took their kid out.
We both took him out.
Yeah, we've both taken him out and his dad many times. But yeah, I've taken a lot of first timers out, not just kids. My girlfriend started turkey hunting 3 years ago, or she's hunted 2 turkey seasons. This will be her 3rd. And I've a few other friends I've taken out for first time hunts, and honestly, I think that's probably the most exciting thing about hunting in general, whether it's turkey hunting or deer hunting, but taking somebody new and getting them out there, getting them the experience, whether you actually kill something or not, really doesn't matter. But I don't know. I always feel like I get more out of it than they do. You know, I feel a little jealous or a little guilty about that. Not jealous, but it's pretty awesome.
When you get to work birds, you get to work birds. I mean, for me, it's the anticipation of waiting for that gunshot to go off, and you never know when that gunshot's gonna go off, and just waiting for it. It drives me nuts. But I've actually brought kids out since I was 18 and allowed to be a mentor in Vermont, and I'm actually a little bit sad because this will be actually the first youth weekend I am not going to mentor a kid since I was 18 years old. And, I'm sure we'll talk about it later, but that's because Brian and I are out hunting right now on the road. But yeah, good luck to all the youths out there, and make sure to try to get them out there this weekend, because honestly, turkey hunting's what hooks the kids. It's interactive. You take a kid out to a deer stand, and you got to teach a lot of patience, and hopefully you guys are seeing deer. But with the interactive thing with turkey hunting, it hooks kids. Hooked you, didn't, Jimmy?
Yeah, definitely, for sure. While we're on this topic of new hunters, Brian, I know we touched on this when we did our last podcast, but if you're getting somebody out there for the first time, you were talking about the reporting system for starting new hunters.
Oh, go ahead, finish. Sorry.
I was just going to say, what do we got to do to go about that if we're getting a new hunter out there? Is one of the questions I got in earlier.
Okay, so you have to be a NWTF member. Essentially, this is just a tracking system. The NWTF has a Save the Habitat, Save the Hunt initiative. The Save the Hunt side of that is recruiting new hunters. And so one of the options, other than, a chapter could hold an event like the Crossroads Limb Hangers. There's a lot of chapters that do these youth hunts. They report those, through the chapter system. But just members, like you're a member because you come to a banquet, you can go onto the NWTF website and you can click through. I can't remember off the top of my head, but there is on one of the tabs for like I can't remember what the name of the tab is at the top of the screen, but there is a thing to go and report. When you go to when you get to the screen, there's a big button on the right for chapters and a big button on the left for like members can just you can report that you took a new person hunting. And the idea is that you're taking a new person hunting, not that you're taking somebody that's deer hunted for years, turkey hunting for the first time, because we're looking to record hunters created, from scratch, not turkey hunters, all just hunting in general.
Yeah, absolutely. Earlier, so I just wanted a little
I can get you the link. I can get you the link. You guys can post it in the comments on this video or something after the fact. I apologize for not remembering it, but I'm working on like 3 hours of sleep here and a full day of hunting. So
oh, that's fine. That'll get us there.
Yeah, and I think so. I just one more time want to plug the contest that we're doing that is 100% benefiting NWTF right now, and it's off to a great start. I think we're almost to $500 raised in just a couple days. And so 100%, all the proceeds go to NWTF going to national. So I know that's something that some people wonder, is it going to state or is it going to national? We're doing it. It's a little bit easier to do it through Facebook. So if
can I interrupt real quick?
Sure can.
Can we just, it's all for the mission, right? Whether it's national or state, it's all for the mission. It's all about getting people out in the woods. It's all about conserving habitat and creating hunter access to public lands and things like that. It's it doesn't matter where it goes. It's all going to the same stuff. Just for the record.
No, that's all good. I appreciate you chiming in there too, because I know you and I were trying to figure out how to handle the money portion of it. And at the end of the day, it all does go to the greater cause and the greater good. And NWTF does a great job with that funding, regardless of what it is. They're very transparent and do a lot of good things with the money that is raised and donated to them. So we're doing that, the Pertnear Outdoors 2020 Turkey Challenge. You can go on to Facebook and go to any of our personal pages or Pertnear Outdoors. And a lot of people have shared it as well that are already participating. And we have the best youth bird. That's a prize. We don't have any youth that have signed up yet. So I would definitely encourage anybody who's listening to this to, go and sign up. It's $15 to donate, and then I'll get you put on the list. And then it's up to everybody to, it's a self-report type of thing. So we're kind of trusting that everybody's going to be honest and submit pictures of the measurements of your beard and of your spurs, as well as we're going to do a prize for longest bird. So that should be fun. Kind of something that the hunting public guys have been doing. So we figured that'd be different than, weighing. I know I was talking to Jimmy, we don't always have a scale at camp, and it's not something we typically do. So we're going to kind of follow the NWTF guidelines for scoring minus the weight, and we're going to throw the long bird in there. So if you're interested and would like to join in on that, check it out over on our Facebook page or any of our personal Facebook pages as well, and share the word. The money's going to a great cause. So you can, if you don't want to hunt, if you aren't a hunter and you want to participate, you can still donate anything over $5. I think it allows you to donate $5 or more is what it does. So we'll leave that there. And I see Trigger is chiming in, so we're happy to have him on too. But
can I piggyback real quick on the contest deal?
Yes, sir.
I want to just promote a little contest that's going on. Since the Crossroads chapter had to cancel their youth hunt, they are doing a photo contest. Go look at the Crossroads Limb Hangers Facebook page. My dad just texted me while we were on here, and he said, remind everybody about the contest. So essentially, if you're kids that are going out for the youth weekend, we couldn't obviously get together and have our actual youth hunt. So what he's doing is, if you go out in the woods and take a kid hunting, have them hold up a picture and forget the hashtag NWTF or something to that effect, and post them to the Facebook page, and he's going to pick a winner and give some prizes away.
Nice.
That's awesome. And last thing I'm going to say on the contest, I don't want to not acknowledge who's helping us out with that. So Brian has donated some NWTF merch, hat and some knives. As I mentioned, John is donating the European mount. And then we've also got Russ from Hunting Western New York, as well as he has a company, Whitetail Company, which is an apparel brand. They've donated quite a bit of stuff to us to support that. So thank you to Russ and his two companies there and what they're doing. It's good stuff. All right. And then, so I've got a kind of a list of some stuff we're going to kind of chew the fat on a little bit. And then I think Jimmy and Danny are watching the online comments and the questions that people are posting. And there's been a lot of interaction already on Facebook. So I appreciate everybody who's watching on there and dropping questions, and we'll make sure we get to those in the Q&A section. So first and foremost, we need to address two individuals' hair here. One of which is Jimmy, and second of which is Danny. We're going to talk about Danny's hair, because when this whole quarantine started, we weren't quite sure whether Danny was going to go cornrows or if he was going to go fro. And we're very happy with your hair choice, Danny, of going fro. It looks great. You look like Brian Gumble or something. I'm not quite sure what you got going on there.
So I was shaving it for so long, I forgot what it was like. It got so itchy, and now it's just, it's great. I love it.
I want to say, Danny, I'm pleased to see that you were taking advantage of that Bills seat today. I was quite disappointed that it was just sitting in the background last time.
Sure, it's great.
Yeah, it is. And Jimmy, you look like hell.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Yeah. No, that hair, it is beautiful. I respect your hair. My hair's gone. It's running away. So I wear hats. You look great.
We never knew Harveys could actually grow hair. So once it started growing, I was just like, might as well let it run.
I'm proud of you, Jim.
It's not even fluffed right now either. This is just matted right down.
Uncle Chris wanted to know if you're concerned about that thing scaring turkeys away.
They'll be flopping before they see the hair.
Oh, that's a good answer.
All we got to do is tape a fan to the back of his head. He'll be like a gobbler coming through the field.
Right.
I got one.
All right. Second point, and I guess first say hello to Brian and Molly. They both have joined. Happy birthday, Molly.
Happy birthday, Molly.
Happy birthday, Molly.
You guys drinking margaritas over there or what?
Well, we're on the Canadian Hunter. We've moved on to the cheaper.
Nice. Good. All right. So I guess I'll just I'll introduce Brian and Molly real quick. So Brian Kirsch is the cousin of my wife, Sarah, and Brian and I have become pretty good hunting buddies. And Brian has helped me got my first long beard last year. Brian called him in for me first thing opening morning. So I've had quite a few exciting turkey hunts with Brian. I never really turkey hunted a whole lot until I got older, and most of that hunting's been done with Brian. So he's my hunting buddy, and we're missing each other right now. This quarantine's really killing us. The two of us can't hang out. But and then Molly is Brian's wife, as I would assume most people could figure out. And we call her Magnum Molly. She shoots a big gun. She ain't scared of it. And she shot a turkey one time too, so she's qualified to be on here.
Absolutely.
All right, next topic.
Low, but that doesn't count.
No, we're not gonna hold that against you.
We're not gonna get into details.
No. All right, so rubber boots versus leather. That was another one that Danny was real concerned about, and so we're just gonna go on the horn real quick. Turkey hunting. What are you wearing? Leather or rubber? Jimbo, we'll start with you.
I'm going to go with it depends on how hot it is out and how far I'm going. If I'm planning on hiking all day long and it's 75 degrees out, rubber boots are a little rough. I tend to wear them more times than not, even in those conditions. But most of the time I'm wearing my rubber boots, whether it's snowing and 20 out or whether it's 80 degrees out, I'm wearing the same rubber boots all the time.
You want me to go next?
You're next, Willie.
All righty. I always used to hunt in rubber boots, and I got to say that I like the leather. I wear my leather Danner hunting boots for turkey, and I just think overall they're more comfortable and give better support, and I also feel that I get a good tight wrap around my ankles with the you can tie off your camo pants with a tick situation, what it is nowadays. I just feel like a lot of stuff can fall in my boot, so to speak, with the rubber boots. So I've kind of switched over away from the rubber to lace up boot.
That's kind of what you're saying, the ticks there, bringing the ticks up. That's kind of why I like the rubber boot, is because I've worn hiking boots before and I'll have ticks get up my pant legs. And I've never had that happen with rubber boots with your pants tucked in. So that's part of my reasoning with that, with how bad the tick situation is.
I see Brian, you gave the thumbs up to that. You agree with that statement. Rubbers keep the ticks off. They keep the chiggers off you.
I was thumbs up, and I was just giving a thumbs up to my girlfriend that said it was nice to actually see me.
Oh, okay. That's funny.
But while I'm talking, I'll say it's a situation. It depends on the situation.
Dewy mornings.
Yeah, dewy mornings, walking across a grass field, I'm wearing rubber boots. I don't care if it's going to be 90, because I'd rather not have soaked feet. But if I'm going to be hunting in the woods primarily, or it's not dewy, then yeah, I wear Danners also, and I'd much rather wear those. But I wear them both. It's all depends on the situation.
I'm probably 90% rubber boots, 10%, unless I'm going somewhere really highly elevated with just a few small stream crossings. That's the only time I wear hikers. Most all the time it's rubber boots, because I'm running and gunning, and usually I'm crossing some type of swamp or marsh or dewy field or something.
Agreed. I think that's Danny's just, he's just grumpy about this whole subject because he thinks that leather with gators is just the greatest thing ever. But you gotta be multi-purpose. You gotta just go with the conditions. So Danny, you are just getting outrun here, that people don't always agree with what you're saying, sir.
That's right. Nobody's perfect.
Certainly not you, sir. Oh, I love you. I don't mean to pick on you all the time. Just coming at you hard.
I'm telling you what, I put gators and leather boots, man. I'll go through your dewy field, and I'll be faster because my boots will be 3 pounds less. And I'll walk through creeks with my leather boots and my gators, and my feet won't hurt at the end of the day because I was lugging around 4-pound muck boots all day long.
So do your boots, do they sop water up? You might have a fucking leaky boot if that's what's going on over there, Danny. Jesus. Or you're wearing your 1,200 grand of Thinsulate boots when you're out turkey hunting. That could be part of the problem too.
1600s.
1600s. There you go.
With wool socks.
Yeah. Johnny and Brian, do either one of you guys have any hot feelings on that?
Rubber neoprene. I wear the mucks, but I go with the field blazers, the really light ones. If you buy the ones that have the heavier insulation or the heavier neoprene, they just they are a little bit more. There's more security on the ankles with the heavier ones, but I find those field blazers, the really lightweight ones, work great. I'm not saying I've never gone out there without leather boots. I've taken leather boots out a few times, but here in Western New York, May is just terribly wet. I mean, the majority of the areas that I hunt are primarily swamp ridden. I mean, and you're going through fields, whether they've just been tilled up or, like Brian said, you go through a dewy grass field, man. There is nothing that's going to get your feet wetter faster than that. You can be standing in a creek, and I tell you what, 10 steps into a dewy grass field is just it's gonna run right up your legs too. If it touches any part of, especially if you got cotton on, that stuff's going to be up in your crotch before you get to the end of that field.
Yeah. Did you hear that, Danny?
Wear the rubber, Danny. Protect yourself.
Trigger, you're always just swearing and cussing and angry because your feet are always wet and you're pissed off about everything. So I kind of know where you stand on this one.
I wear a leather boot until it's like 15 degrees out. I wear an uninsulated leather boot. I buy a nice one. They last a year. They leak. I get pissed off. I buy another one because it's the only thing that's comfortable. And I wear an 8-inch leather uninsulated boot. And I wear my fucking Sitka pants through the goddamn ball high grass. And I just drive. Just buy good gear.
Slick, do Brian a favor and bring a couple bread bags with you next time you hunt with him, so you don't have to hear him bitching and whining so much.
Between him and Dallas, and they're complaining about how wet things are. Between the two of them,
but they're
sort of sweats a lot, and my boots leak. Those two.
Exactly.
It's freaking classic. All right, next hot
send
topic.
you a lacrosse gift certificate.
Send him a lacrosse gift certificate. Is that what you said?
You got to go with the original Grange, just the cheap olive green ones. That's where you got to go back to the basics.
Yeah, that's what I'm running.
Yeah.
I just got a pair of uninsulated rubber boots just so that I had fresh ones for turkey season. But I went with the Irish Setter because they have the flexible, the back of the ankle is flexible.
Yep. Okay.
Solid.
How are those? Because I was reading some bad reviews on those.
I put a lot of miles on them recently, and they're doing good.
Nice.
Happy with them.
Those muck field blazers. Those muck
I can tell you
because flex too.
The Cabela's boots that are on sales right now for $60. Don't waste your money on those, because those things sound like you're walking with potato chip bags underneath the soles of them.
Yeah, though I will agree with you, Johnny. Those field blazers are money, and you can just run in them all day long. I wore them. I remember a couple of years ago we went to Letchworth for our muzzleloader hunt, and I forgot my boots were full of water because they were sitting right underneath the cap where it was dripping, and I was concerned about wearing those boots all day side hill and had no issues at all. So those field blazers are good. All right, next topic, and these are all questions that people had sent in, and I wanted to identify that there's no stupid questions, just stupid people. So if you're out there listening and you want to ask some questions, don't feel like any question is stupid. You just might be the one that is stupid. So how about what's everybody shooting for a gun and size of the load? So I think that's been watching different forums and Facebook pages. That's a lot of people are talking about what the gun of choice is if you're getting into it, and what your preferred turkey load is. So I guess Jimbo, we'll start with you again.
I bought a 12 gauge Winchester 1,300 off of a guy at work years ago. That was my first 12 gauge, and it's got like a 28-inch barrel on it. I bought a choke tube for it, and I run the Winchester Longbeard XRs, 3 inches, 5-shot, I believe. And out to 60 yards, I haven't missed one. So that gun it's one of those guns. It's just an old gun, and it's just a freaking cannon, and it is dead on every time you pull the trigger. So for me, I'm not walking away from that gun. It ain't the prettiest thing, but it does the job. I've also seen a lot about these other rounds. I'm trying to think, are they federal? They have Brian shaking his head. You know the name of them?
The TSS.
Yes. I was thinking about trying them this year, but with the fact that you can't just go to a store and buy ammo right now, I haven't bothered going out because I got like 4 shells left in my vest from last year, and I'm only going to need 2 of them. So
don't fix what isn't broken.
That's right.
Yeah, that was part of my thinking too.
That was a TSS headache the other morning.
Very, very nice.
And that was with a 20 gauge.
I heard those things are unreal, but haven't had any experience with them myself. I just use them Winchester Longbeard XRs, and they're money. So
remember the story about your dad running down the hill? I shot Longbeard XRs a couple years ago at a bird above Andrew's house on opening day in the snow, and it flew up into a tree, crashed to the ground, and then I did what your dad did downhill, uphill.
Oh.
It was ridiculous, and I just vowed to never use those again.
I actually didn't know it was him calling the bird. I had hunted with my fiance, and she shot her first bird that morning. And I ran to the end of my road, and I heard a bird gobbling, and then I heard the telltale lynches singing a song up on top. So I didn't make a peep, and I got to watch the bird come across the top, and then a firefight get let loose. And I think 6 or 7 rounds and a call for more ammo got let loose. And I got to go up and see a dead turkey. It was a cool from my perspective. Brian was a mess, hot mess.
It tried to run up a bank, and it stuck its head in a woodchuck hole. So I couldn't even get another shot. I ran out of ammo. I'm calling for my dad and my buddy Jason to come up and give me more ammo. My dad couldn't give me ammo because he was shooting 3.5. So I only had a 3-inch gun. And my buddy eventually came up. He missed, and then he was like, "Here, you just take the gun and do it." And I eventually finished it off as it was like about to crest over the berm to where my truck was parked.
I couldn't help you because I ran on a muzzle loader.
I just want to note, I'm pretty sure I saw Brian smile for the first time when he heard someone say that they ran out of ammo.
Story sounds like a user error sort of deal to me.
Oh, it was bad news.
Your type of guy, Brian.
To answer the question,
he's not a Longbeard fan.
Not a Longbeard fan. And to finish answering the question, I'm running federal TSS 7s while I'm in New York and 9s elsewhere.
Is there a reason for that? What's the reason for the difference in the sizes?
New York State won't let us run 9s yet.
Yeah, the regulations are number 8 shot or larger.
But that TSS has multiple different size shot in it, correct? Or no?
Yeah, I'll give you the
No. It's true 7 shot or true 9 shot or 10 or 12.
It's just tungsten.
Yeah, it's tungsten super shot.
Super shot, yeah, it's different than just straight tungsten.
It's I got turned on to it when I was trying to kill a bird with a muzzleloader for the first time, and I couldn't get a lead load to fly. And TSS out of the muzzleloading shotgun was the way to go. So I got that bucket lister checked off. But I did a lot of homework. A TSS 9 will penetrate almost double what a lead 5 will. A guy took a New Orleans phone book and shot both with Longbeard XR 5s and with the 9s. The lead 5s penetrated to like page number 600 or something, and the TSS went past like 900.
Jesus.
And you get that, and you're unleashing like 500 pellets in that count. It's a hive coming at you.
So that's all very interesting, but how the hell do you get a New Orleans phone book? That's what I'm interested
That's what I was wondering.
That's the guy that was shooting it. I don't know. He probably had it from the 80s.
How was he doing down there? Freaking Mardi Gras or something.
It must have floated down Katrina or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hanging out with Shelby Stenga.
Yeah. Willie, what have you been shooting? You've kind of always shot 12 gauge, right?
Yeah, I've always shot 12 gauge. For a while, I always shot 2 3/4 with a modified barrel. That's what I started off with. Killed a bunch of birds with that. Then I had I'm a Remington guy. I like my Remington 870 pumps, and I've had a bunch of them, and some of them now you boys have. But there was one that was a Wingmaster Magnum. They made them for a few years there. It took a 3-inch, and so I was shopping around. I've been watching it used gun shops, and I picked one up, I think year before last. So I got a Remington 870 Winchester Express Magnum, and I put an HR Strut super full turkey choke on it, 28-inch barrel, and I'm shooting 3-inch 5s out of that. And I think I've always shot Remington loads. I still have some, believe it or not, years ago, long time ago, Remington came out with these loads. They called them 2x6s, and that was revolutionary at the time that they were mixing it. They had a blend of 2s and 6s in the same load. So I shot those for years. I still got a bunch of those downstairs, but I really wanted to go up to the 3-inch. And you can ask Jimmy. I don't know. Wasn't it something almost like 50 yards where I shot that bird last year?
It was a solid 45 if it was 50.
Yeah, it was, and it piled them. So but yeah, I've always shot 12, and I have to laugh because my brother Tim went to a 10 gauge single shot, I think it's an H&R. You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
And with like a 3.5-inch mag, and Tim's a big guy. He's not as big as I am, but he's 6 foot something, and but he shot this his first and only bird he shot with that gun. He was sitting on the ground, obviously, and called the bird in and shot it, and it flipped him over backwards. And then he never shot the gun again. He sold that, but it did the job. But he says, not worth getting a turkey to shoot that gun. So, but yeah, the 12 gauge, I'm 3-inch and 5-shot is what I'm shooting at the time. Works good.
Johnny, how about you?
Yeah, I'm shooting an 872. It's a super mag, full camo, little chamber 3.5-inch, but I use 2 different loads. So I'll chamber, just because I've been shooting it forever, and like you guys said, if don't change what works, but I've been shooting the federal flight control wads with number 4s. I think it's a 2-ounce. I mean, it packs a punch, but I've had a lot of success with it. And I think I'm pretty sure my choke is a 6.68. The extra full, I think, is a 6.68. And then, but what I do is I'll back it with the long beard XRs, and that's a number 4 too, because the long beard XRs will get out there. But I'm just hard pressed to dedicate to that one, to convert to the XRs, because I found so much success with those Federals. Just, I don't know, it's something I can't part with at this point. But if I need to follow up, I can reach out there a little bit if they start running with that XR.
It's a good tip. What are you bearing arms over there, Noble, or what?
That's the juicer. I got the juicer and the Joker. The juicer is my 12 gauge. That's my trusty 835. I just gave it a paint job last year, but yeah, the 12 gauge with the TSS loads is excessive, so it got nicknamed the juicer. I honestly, probably, if a bird hung up at 75 and I was in the right mood, I'd probably send one. The Joker, though, is my favorite. That's my Mossberg 500 and a 20 gauge, and I run out here. I'm running TSS 9s out of it. And last year, I shot, I think, 3 birds over 50 yards with that 20 gauge. And honestly, I just don't like. I'm a little bit allergic to recoil. I'm not gonna lie. I like the 20 gauge. It does the trick without the abuse. But I just picked up a Rossi 410 with and trying out some TSS through that, and I'm gonna try and kill a bird with 410 this year. And I patterned it, and that thing's a 45-yard 410 now with TSS. Jesus. It's a game changer.
Wow, that's wild. Trigger, what do you?
I also.
Okay, Trigger, what are you running?
I carry like a like a backpack full of bullets. Just miscellaneous.
A lot. Just quantity.
Whatever I can get a handful of at a time. But I shoot a Beretta 3-inch mag, 28-inch barrel, I think, and I have like an extra full choke. I don't know if it's like like John said, a .66. I don't even know. I think it's a double X full, but like your dad said, I shot the duplexes 20 years ago, and I had a 870 with a 20-inch barrel as a turkey, just a turkey gun.
Yeah.
And that thing was better than anything at like 50. It was nuts. Then they changed, the duplexes were like a 2-ounce load, a 4x6, and then they changed them to a 1 3/4, 1 7/8 ounce load, and they suck. So whatever they originally made, it was 20 years ago. They changed the color of the plastic, and they were a smaller load. They were no good, but that was the best load I've ever shot. I've shot all the flight control wads, the Winchesters, the Federals. I haven't even shot anything in the last probably 6 to 8 years, because I just shoot a Remington high velocity 3-inch mag, number 4s. I won't shoot anything but a number 4, because the 5's pattern good, but I have a little woodchuck issue in my yard. And the 4s, or the 5's pattern is good as the 4s, but I have to shoot at the neighbor's house, towards the neighbor's house. So
You don't need to be buying extra beef.
So
No,
I don't
correct,
want
right.
to, I got venison. I just don't need the beef. And the house isn't very rigid, let's say. So I would be nervous that it may collapse if I hit it with anything bigger than a 22. So the issue I have with the number 5 is they have no energy at over 50 yards. A woodchuck at 50 yards, at 50, I don't think I've missed one at under 55 with the 4s. They just roll on their back and kick. And with the 5s, they got to be about 45 to kill them. They might still die, but they make it in the hole. So for me, I look at, and I usually pattern around 40 just to, out of curiosity for the pattern. So they all pattern pretty similar, other than probably the newer, this is just a straight Remington high velocity 4 or 5.
Yep.
The energy at over 45 or 50 yards is so much greater with a 4 that I really don't like to shoot less than a 4. I used to shoot a 5, and I killed plenty over 50, but they're, I think I'm sold on the number 4s.
Yeah. I think I'm shooting the
Billy,
same thing you
I'll,
are. Oh yeah, Dad, go ahead. Floor is
I
yours.
just want to tell you that like years ago when we first started hunting them, it was like you had to have them 30 yards or less. You know what I mean? That was what we always, I couldn't believe the bird I shot last year, how far away it was, but we simply didn't have the firepower and the turkey chokes and things like that, in the late 70s and 80s. The equipment has improved so much that it's really allowed us to reach out there so much more.
No doubt.
I would also like to touch on that for a second. We're talking all of our setups and how far we can shoot. Like you said, Dad, back when you guys were all turkey hunting, starting up, your top range is 30 yards. I just think that all of our talking and all of our experience and where we're comfortable shooting might not be where somebody else starting out is comfortable shooting. And you can take any 12 gauge, any 20 gauge, buy yourself some turkey loads. If you don't have a turkey target, put a piece of cardboard out, tack a pie plate to it, and shoot it and see what your pattern is. And absolutely draw your arm turkey, get it on there. Just pattern your gun and know where it hits and get them close if you're starting out. Don't worry about shooting them at 50, 60 yards. Just get them right into 20, 30 yards, and any 12 gauge, 20 gauge is going to do the job.
I've seen a lot of guys have birds that run away on them when they're starting out, they're shooting when they're too far out. That's probably one of the things that people have to learn, is to get the birds in close. And if you're, I took a long shot last year, but I was on the field edge and there was nothing between me and the bird. So, you really got to be careful with the distance thing.
Yeah, that's great. That's good info, Jim, and good point, because I think that goes for everything. Everybody wants to talk about the furthest shot they've taken, but a lot of times the most of your opportunities hopefully are coming 20 yards and under on anything you're shooting at. So good point, Jimbo. Next one, I guess, is related to getting them close, and that would be decoys. I'm curious what what each one of you guys think about decoys. It's something that some people use, some people don't, and just interested in what everybody does. So since you boys are out in the field right now, Brian and Andrew, what's your thoughts on decoys?
We got a flock.
Got a small goose spread available. We brought an Avian X full strut, a half strut, a looking hen, upright hen, a lay down hen. We brought a Montana decoy that folds up real good and it's a feeding hen.
If you're watching Neil, we actually used it today. So, and we didn't get anything to commit, but we did use it. Thanks for letting us borrow it.
We had one across the valley strutting, and he definitely got tall and looked at it for a little bit, maybe even gobbled a couple times just because he saw it. So thanks for letting us borrow that.
And then I have my Reaper. Certain states don't let it happen. Don't do it on public land, but for those that have never fanned or reaped a bird, it can be exhilarating. It's not my favorite way to kill a turkey, but when one makes you mad enough, march at him. And sometimes it works.
I actually just bought one of those this year, and I look very forward to trying that. You've seen all the videos out there, but I've never done it, and I think that would be freaking awesome to try. And we had several situations last year that I think could have definitely helped us having that thing. Get a little cover in front of you and decoy up a gobbler and go right at them.
Yeah, anytime you're using a gobbler decoy, just use extra caution. It's even if you're just using a fan where you're sitting or putting a half strut Jake out, and you're with a hen in front of you, just be mindful of where people might come from or who might be around. And you never know. People trespass, and you just got to be alert. And
put a big tree to your back.
Yeah.
So I have a question. Do you guys always use them, or do you use them when the circumstances are appropriate?
Timber birds, I don't ever use. I want them coming in, and I want them looking for me the whole time. Pretty much it's field edge birds when I think that they're going to be on the other end and need to bring them in. Or for a lot of times we'll bring a lone hen, just more for a confidence decoy. But most of the time it's just it's scouting the night before, knowing what your flock size is and what you got, and then using it accordingly to the flock size and the birds and the age of the birds, whether it's a couple 2-year-olds, or if it's a dominant with hens. It's a lot of different scenarios.
Yeah, I'll add that it's usually, if I'm using decoys, I'm near a field or in a field. I don't like to use them in the woods. I'd rather use the terrain and the vegetation to my advantage to make them come looking. But sometimes I'll carry a lone hen just for the situation where you might be in the woods and you end up getting a bird to answer, and it's wide open. Like, that bird's going to come in and be out of gun range, and it'll be able to stand there and scan and realize that it's not seeing anything. So, and then it'll turn around and leave. So that's where I might put a decoy out, just to give them a little bit of confidence that, oh, there's the hen that I saw, or the hen that I heard, and then, they'll be more apt to come in. Doesn't always work like that, though.
You're muted, Willie.
Johnny, what's your approach with decoys?
I'm going to totally agree with pretty much everything that Brian said. I mean, I love using my strutting tom with an alert hen, and I'll take my feeding hen and I'll put it down in front of the strutting tom, like, they're getting at it. But I only do it in the fields. I've found no success using those in the woods. And, Brian nailed it with the scenario that you're in. If you're in a heavy timber where they can't see very far, they're going to commit, they're going to come in close. They're going to keep looking, they'll strut right into within 10 yards of you. But if you get an open timber spot that they could see for 70, 80 yards, they're going to hang up and they're going to bust out of there quick if they see nothing. So yeah, I'll set up on field edges. I'll put my strut and tom up. I've had a lot of success in the last 3 years, early season with those. Actually had an instance 2 years ago where one just came, he was still in full strut, came running through the field, probably 200 yards, and just destroyed my strutting tom. I had to watch the show for a little bit, but eventually gave it to him, but he actually put a couple spur marks in my strutting tom, ripped the fan off, and he was a little angry at it. Very next year, same field, same thing. A couple jakes came in. Tom came screaming in, got him out of there, took one. And actually, I got a couple years ago with Brian's brother Dallas, I got him one with crossbow with strutting tom in the field. But as far as that setup in the woods, it has never worked out for me. And like I said, I can probably speak to every approach that Brian used. That's pretty much every approach that I use as well.
Jimbo, what about you on your decoy approach?
I normally always got a hen in the pack, just if I need it, throw it out there. Like Brian said, a lot of the woods hunting, I'm never touching a decoy. I'm trying to get them to come looking for it. One thing I did try last year, which I'm very sad that I didn't have success with, is I put my full strut and tom B mobile on a remote control car. And I never had the right situation to drive them out there and bring them back. But I very badly wanted to try that. And part of the reason was the engineering wasn't quite up to snuff yet. The remote control car couldn't quite handle B mobile size. But at some point, I would like to try to do that again. I do have some video footage of driving them back and forth on the logging roads. It's pretty freaking hilarious. But, yeah, I mean, most of the time I'm not using decoys. The one field that we hunt over, the majority of the time I had 2 mornings on those birds, and I took Dad up there the 3rd morning, and he wanted to call in the worst way, and I kept on telling him no. They freaking walked right into us. So yeah, as far as decoys go, I'm not much on decoys. Maybe if we hunted a little more field stuff, maybe I'd be experimenting more with it, but most of the time I'm in the woods. So
Dad, what do you typically use for decoys? You usually,
well, like Father likes done, Jimmy and I kind of run with a hen decoy in the pack, and I'm a woodland guy. There's really one field edge up in the hills there that we hunt, and Jimmy and my brother Chris and Adam and those guys usually take that spot. So I'm in the woods. I'm a woodland guy. I throw one in there in case I'm in a, as Brian said, you're in a wide open hardwoods, or I got a nice logging road where it sounds like they're coming down. That we have a lot of those logging roads up through there, especially on the top of the hill. But I've taken a lot of my birds on the crest. They'll be just over the crest. They seem to. I'm a ridge hunter. They like those birds tend to like the ridges on those big hills, and they'll hang just above them or just below them. And so a lot of times you set up where they're not going to be able to see, and they're not going to be able to see a decoy, and you try and get them to come in just over. I find the old logging road spurs that go down over the hill just a little bit and dead end. Those birds love those for strut zones. So, but no, I'm not a big decoy guy, but there's always one in my pack, or just in case I'm in a wide open wood.
Yep.
I guess one of the biggest reasons I'm not running decoys for me with running through the woods so much is, you take B mobile with you, and there's no packing them down and throwing them in the pack. I mean, that's a big decoy to be carrying around. You can leave them laying somewhere, but a lot of times we don't end up going back the same way we came. So that's one of the big reasons I'm not toting around a bunch of decoys. But with that turkey fan this year, it's an umbrella. Just pops right out like an umbrella. So interested to give that thing a whirl.
Yeah, no doubt. Trigger, I don't think you're real big with decoys, right? You and I have hunted quite a bit together. I don't think we've really ever popped decoys.
I kind of like to keep you guessing.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what you're going to pull out on me on next Friday, but I'm excited about it.
Yeah. So I have used the decoy plenty in the past, and I've had a couple birds that just came freaking suicide into the decoy. Game over. But I've also had where I'm kind of with Jim on this. I mean, so I hunt the woods a lot. I've had minimal success with the decoy in the woods. I like to be mobile. I like to be able to get up and just run. I like to get into a spot where I think I'm as far as I can get. I don't like to go 30 yards or 20 yards or 10 yards further to put a decoy. And I also don't want to get as far as I want to get, set a decoy up and go back. So hunting in the woods, I've carried one for a long time, and in the last 10 years, I really haven't had it with me too many times unless I've had a bird that I feel like I'm going to get to on a field.
Yeah. Yeah. I think.
Still there?
Yeah, we got you.
Can you still hear me?
Yeah. You're lagging a little bit.
Somebody just tried calling me, so.
Oh, that'll happen. Let's switch gears. Oh, I want to, you're good, Brian, but I want to keep the conversation rolling. How about, calling? So I know we've got some good callers on the line here. I'm curious, everybody can be a good caller, or you can be a good caller, but there's a fine line between calling well and calling too much. And I think I fall into that category for sure. I love to call. I think I sound good, but I don't think I really am that good. But then I just overcall and ends up pulling my spot half the time. So from the guys on here that are successful turkey hunters and put a lot of birds on the ground, I'm curious how you guys approach calling when you're out there in that situation. So I guess I'll start with John.
Every situation's different with turkey hunting. Sometimes one of the biggest birds I ever killed, the one right behind me, that bird I killed on opening day 5 or 6 years ago, weighed 24 pounds, 1 3/8 spurs, 10-inch beard. He was a monster. I scouted him and just let him walk right in front of me. Never made a call the entire time. There's times where if I get in close, what I like to do is just literally just do a few tree yelps, just some really light tree yelps. And if they respond, I know that they know where I'm at. And then I'll try to play it out as to where they're going to pitch down to. If they pitch away, if they pitch towards me, if I hear hens coming down, and then kind of get an idea of, how aggressive they want to get when they get down. I might give them, a couple of yelps. If they cut me off, I might keep at it. If they stay quiet, I'll stay quiet. I'll stay quiet with just some really, really locate yelps. As far as calls, I use, I'm really limited on my calls. I have a slate. I have a Quaker Boy box call, and then I just do natural calls. I mouth call without a mouth call. That's kind of how I get my close calls in, like a lot of my light tree yelps and my purrs. So in those situations where you have a lot of foliage and they can't see you, those purrs come in and those light yelps come in. Hands down, probably some of the best calling you can use in those scenarios. And I'll try to do a bunch of scratching too, but yeah, it all comes down to the scenario, and you just gotta feel it out. You gotta go back to the previous situations you were in with that type of bird and kind of feel out what their mood is, and hopefully give them something that's enticing, that's going to pull them in that day.
Does your approach change throughout the season? Early season, is it different than late season?
Late season, it'll be a little bit more aggressive. Early season, I found that you really don't have to call too much at all. I think less is more, as long as you get a response, especially an early response. If you can set up if you could set up in their house early and get right underneath them, and they know you're down there, what I found with those tree elves, man, they'll pitch down right in front of you, and they're going to follow the hens. The hens will come down, and then the toms will come down, and they'll take a minute to kind of assess the situation when they get on the ground, and then after they get acclimated, I think, on the ground, then they start to make their approach, whether they want to go feed, they want to go check out that sound. It depends on, you really got to feel out, I guess, their attitude that day, what's going to motivate them.
Brian and Andrew, I'm curious with the birds that you guys shot over the last few days, what was your approach with them and how did it go down?
Well, we both tagged out in Michigan, and my hunt was pretty much, we knew the birds from trail cam pictures of the landowner, knew that they were going through in a certain window of time, and we didn't quite get there on time because we were working another bird. We got there, pulled the trail camera, sure as we'd gone through an hour before, and we figured they were somewhere on the 80-acre piece, and didn't drum them up, and came back to the truck and was pulling out of the driveway, and they were right down the drainage right outside the camp. So we had to back up quickly, go swing way around wide, and I got the two-year-old rock stars. Brian called first, and then I fired him up, and they only gobbled once until they came in range. I think they gobbled one more time in front of us and then strutted in. And I got a shot at like 25 yards, and it was a really quick deal. It was windy, and it was really a bang bang kind of deal. Mine wasn't really exciting. Really couldn't take the temperature. We just got lucky and found two lone rockstar 2-year-olds. I'll let Brian talk about his hunt though the next morning.
Well, so that taking the temperature is something that that's how I refer to it. You want to call and start softly or, just not aggressive. And then, if they respond good, you can get aggressive. But with that situation, we knew where the birds were. So we just got close, and we were hoping we saw they were, heading back into the property. So we knew that they were going. We kind of estimated where they were coming in. We got up on this high spot on a logging road. And I called with my box call once just to see if I could get a shot gobble kind of. And they didn't respond. He, so talking about taking the temperature, he tried a different call, and they both gobbled. And as soon as they gobbled, I could see them, and they came in. I think they did gobble one more time, and it was essentially two calls, and they were there because we were within the comfort zone, or we were real close. But my situation the following day, we went to roost birds, and there were 3 toms in one tree that we drove by. Like, we could see them on some public.
25
we were
yards
going to
on the
pull
side
into
of
the
the
back of the public and hoot down a pipeline type scenario, and
they were skylined with beards dangling.
Yeah, we could see 3 longbeards in a tree, and there were other birds flying over the truck into the trees. And so we backed out of there, and because we had messed around in that area earlier the day we were roosting, we knew that they could either go down this drainage or this like power line situation in the back of the property, or there was a big cut cornfield. And we knew that if we went to the backside first, if they went out to the cornfield, we had a good play. We could use the cover to get into a good spot. Where if we set up on the cornfield and they went to the back,
no play.
We'd be stuck. We wouldn't be able to get around on them very easily. So we went to the back. Because this drainage, literally it's just a big giant drainage ditch with grass on either side.
Michigan's very swampy.
It's very swampy. Rubber boots for sure.
Rubber boots for sure.
So the birds gobbled amazingly on the roost. There was, some of the best gobbling both of us have ever heard. And they flew down and went out to the cornfield, and we were in the back. So we gave them some time to kind of establish, make sure they weren't just going to go out there and then turn around and come back. Once we heard them gobble way off in the distance. It sounded distant, so we knew they were out in the field. We circled around, snuck through some brush, and got set up in a little open pocket in this thick brush on the edge of the field. we could see the tops of the fans in this corn stubble. They were probably 150 yards out. We called, they all gobbled, and we called again, they gobbled. And then we really just didn't call a whole lot more because they turned and started working towards us. We didn't need to do any more calling.
We had one hen decoy out.
We had one lone upright hen decoy in the middle of this clearing that we were sitting in.
We maybe did 3 sequences of soft calling.
What they paralleled the edge of the field, so they were about 150 yards out in the field when they got even with us. And when they could see the decoy, Andrew used his slate call and did a couple of soft calls, and that was enough to get the hens that were with him to come over and check us out. And the hens brought
we had a confidence whitetail that was at like 6 yards in front of Brian. Luckily, we had a good wind, and she actually came by and actually licked the decoy on the way by. It was nuts, and she never spooked. And I think that confidence of having that deer there and not spooked really helped those turkeys believe it. Yeah, this is a real deal. It worked perfectly.
Yeah, and there was five full fans, and it was a problem where like they weren't separated enough to shoot one. So I would have liked to have shot him at 20 to 30 yards maybe on the edge of the field, but at 40 yards one of them peeled off and separated enough, and I knew that if they came in, they were together the whole time. And that was my one. I didn't want my one opportunity to have a singled out bird slip away. So, I got him at 40 yards.
Nice.
That's a good problem.
Yeah, it definitely was.
It was too bad it's a one bird state. There would have been a firefight.
So Jimmy, I guess I'll go to Jimmy and Dad next on your calling approach, and being that you two hunt the same area together. Where our camp is, a lot of hills and ridges and terrain to work with. So that's a little bit different than hunting farmland, flat stuff, where I'm at out here. So what's your guys' approach to getting in and getting after them in the morning and calling on them?
We have found, I would want to say, a lot in the past probably 10 years. When we try to get into these birds and call them, for some reason they just turn and walk away. I mean, if you try to get into them right off a roost and you start, they'll be answering you and communicating, but the hens that are with them will just take them right away from you. So a lot of what I've found here in the past 10 years is, get eyes on the birds, watch what they do for a few mornings. They're typically pretty much pick a strut zone, and it seems to be their strut zone for the year, whatever birds you're working. And you just try to, like, off a roost, probably my favorite thing to do is try to wait right about till when I think they're going to fly out of the tree. And you got one hammering, you're tempted. You're like, man, I want to call. I want to get them tempted to come this way. But I just take my push button box call and just lightly, just a couple of clucks so I know he can hear it. And a lot of times that'll put them right in your lap. So off a roost, I'm not calling much at all. I'm trying to get in between where they're going and just intercept them, because at camp we've had bad luck with calling them and they just turn and go the other way. I think
Jimmy the push button pro.
Oh yeah, they're lucky I didn't break that thing out in the BHA call contest, because I don't want the whole damn thing.
He is good at that thing.
You got the Quaker Boy double pusher, so you can do the fighting pairs?
No, I ain't got the double. It's just a single.
It's just the singy. It's a good one. It's a coaxer.
Oh yeah. No, so that's what I like off a roost. If I get a bird that is hung up and he's going, mostly a mouth call I'm working him with. But if I got nothing and I'm just trying to locate birds, running and gunning, I got a box call that I can get a pretty high pitch on and a pretty good cadence on. And normally by the time you get done calling, if there's a bird close, he's going to hit on it. So that's mostly what I like going with and what I've been working with the last few years. I always used to want to call a gobbling bird. It's your biggest thing. You're like, oh, I'm out here, I'm talking to him, I want to call to him. But the more you hunt, the more you learn. You got to play them. You can't just fall into the talking back and forth. You got to put the ball in their court sometimes. Watch the birds, see what they do on a daily basis. Some of the best hunts we've had in the past 5-6 years are straight up ambushes. So
that's perfect transition to what I wanted to get out of you, Dad, because I know you've had some good success in your years just ambushing birds, because the way the terrain is, you can make moves on them pretty aggressively without them actually knowing that you're there. So I know you killed a pretty good bird a few years ago that you actually didn't even call, you just snuck right up on it, right?
Yeah, there was, I had a bird that a lot of it, hunting our area, and that being as familiar as we are with it and where all the logging roads are, I had a bird that right off the roost, I talked to him. I was in the valley, which is unusual. I was way back in the valley. He was like halfway up the hill, but he hit the ground and went the other way. And I figured he had hens with him. And he hung up in a certain area, and he was strutting back and forth. I figured he was, because he was gobbling, and I could tell he'd turn, go the other way, back and forth. And I said, he's on a logging road. There's a steep logging road cutting the side of that hill, and he's on that logging road. So I crossed the marsh in my rubber boots, and I went up the side hill, and I stalked up there. And every once in a while he'd gobble, and you wouldn't believe how close I got, but I came up the bank and onto the logging road. There was a big log, and I thought I could use a big log that had fallen across this whole logging road. So I came up behind that big log, and then I peeked over, and a bird and a hen was right on the other side. And the hen saw me, but the bird was in full strut facing the hen, and he was rotating. I just pulled my gun up, and when he rotated towards me, I let him have it. And but yeah, I literally walked in on him. But that's obviously an anomaly. That doesn't happen very often. But what it plays to is knowing the terrain and knowing the features and how to get in on the birds. And I know I taught Jimmy this right off the bat, that when we're running and gunning, if we don't get a bird right out of the roost, and we're running and gunning, we do not do that on the field edges or go across the middle of an open field. The terrain changes enough in the field that a bird will be right over the edge and you'll spook them. But we always stay like inside the woods over a crest, and we work a ridge that way where we're not blowing birds out of there. So that's an important thing too, is knowing how to move up there without spooking the birds. And it's amazing because here's my take on out of the roost. I've only killed one bird out of the roost, just one, and it was, I think a lot of it was luck. I think I happened to be set up between him and the corner edge of the field, and on the crest of the hill, and he hit the ground and was going to the field and had no hens, and that was the second bird I killed, and he was a huge gobbler. But ever since then, I firmly believe that it's not a matter of getting them to come to you off the roost. It's a matter of understanding where they're likely to go, like which way are they going to pitch off to, and trying to get in that path. So I don't like to get in too close. I think I like to get in a position where the birds are likely to go, either as Jimmy said, from our observations and our scouting, or knowing which way they're, and some days, they're either going to go here or they're going to go there, and you set up and they go there. They don't come to you. But, I've just never had a lot of luck getting them right off the roost. I've had better luck at probably 7:30 to 9:30 in the morning. And then after that, it's from like 11 to noon. But the hill country up there can be a bird, especially when the foliage gets on. There can be a bird just over the crest of the hill gobbling his fool head off, and you will not hear him. And, I've had my brother call me on the cell phone, and he's over on the other mountain, and he's like, "Are you working that bird that's down below the 5 points?" And I'm like, "I don't hear any bird over there." He's like, "Well, you better get over there. There's one gobbling." And, or I'll do the same with him. And so it's tough knowing like where to be to hear the birds. And if you get down too far into the valley, then they're gobbling up above you and you can't hear them there. So a lot of times we'll spread out and do some recon, and then, figure out where they're gobbling, and let guys know, kind of help each other out,
Yep.
That hill country.
just real quick on that bird you snuck up on, were you just drifting through the woods like a spring breeze?
It was like an autumn breeze, actually. They never even knew I was coming. I just drifted in, very similar to a fog on a rainy morning. all of a sudden, boom, you're there. You're in the fog. Where'd it come from? Came over.
Oh shit. Trigger, you and I hunting together, we rely quite a bit on the roosting of them the night before with the way the property lays that we hunt together. And Dad kind of hit on, like, you know, either going to go one way or the other. So I guess with you, what's your approach in the morning and I guess the night before too, because that's a huge piece of it for us, you know, roosting birds.
I have roosted a lot of birds in the past and, you know, had good success getting them to gobble, finding them, hunting them in the morning. But I just, lately, I don't really have the time to get out there at dark and roost them anymore. And in the last several years, I've only heard a few gobbles at night, and I don't know what the deal is. You know, whether it's time, I don't know. So I've kind of not given up on roosting them, but just trying to scout them a little bit. And even if I don't have time before season, it's, I think like your dad said, give them, or Jim, you know, give them a couple days. I try and be quiet. See where they go. They're going to go here, or they're going to go there. I've got right in on a bird and called them in, you know, running in like, you know, like they just want to die. But the next time they do the same thing and you give them 3 little yelps and they fly down, they go the other way. And as far as the calling on the roost, I will not do it. And that's how I was taught. I had a guy, a really good turkey hunter, teach me when I was like 14. He kind of took me under his wing for a couple of years, Neil Fitzpatrick. And I mean, he taught me a lot. And that was one thing that he taught me is you absolutely do not call when they're on the roost. I don't know if that's right or wrong. That's just what I was taught. I've had people call around me when they're on the roost and the birds will shut right up, or they'll just fly down and go the other way and not gobble anymore. So I don't really know. Maybe there's a different way to call when they're on the roost.
No, if they have hens, they got hens, and that's a lot of time. It's
There's nothing you're gonna do about that.
And that's where it comes in with Bill's philosophy of woodsmanship kills. Woodsmanship is everything. Calling second, and bad calling can kill turkeys. You don't have to be a good caller to kill turkeys. You just gotta make a turkey noise. Sometimes
That's right.
a noise that kind of resembles a wild turkey.
I mean, that kind of hits on another point. If you're working a bird, or if you got a bird in the morning that you can't get to come to you, that you know that's got hens, you know, don't try to work it too hard in the morning when he's henned up. I mean, you know he's going to be in that area. He likes that area. If you give him a call and he knows you're there, try it again at 10:30, 11 o'clock. There's a damn good chance he can be back there waiting for you.
The 10 o'clock bite's good.
Yeah. If you get a hot 10 o'clock bird, your chances are probably better than actually getting a bird right off the roost. Yeah, those hot 10 o'clock, man, are great hunts.
The odds are better.
Love the 10 o'clock bite.
What was that, Trigger?
Odds are better at 10 o'clock. I mean, if you get a hot bird that doesn't have hens right off the roost, and you know that he likes to head north and you're north of him, you can make a couple calls and if he's fired up, chances are he's going to run right into it and he's dead. If he's got a few hens and the hens don't like that you called, or the hens want to go a different way, it's a different game. I personally like to feel them out, give them a little bit of light calling, see what they do. If they touch off when they're, you know, you give them a couple light yelps, then I'll get a little more aggressive with them. If I give them some light calling and they, you know, lag a few seconds behind and gobble, I'll just keep being conservative with them. You know, it's just, you play every situation as it is. And some birds just love to be just called as hard as you can, as fast as you can, as much as you can. And they run in and you smack them with the end of the barrel and they're dead. The next bird, you got to just kind of lightly call and give them a little tickle, and after an hour and a half, they come in looking, and they come out of a tree and you smack them. So there's no real way to tell them.
Brian, you got to find one of those birds for Jimmy and let him call up a storm at him on Friday.
So yeah, and Brian, I want to also highlight that Brian is also a professional finger clucker with the push button call. When I first started hunting with Brian, I'm like, for real? I'm like, that's all you got? But it's like the kid kills birds. So I just I've learned, just follow Brian and things will happen. Yeah.
So I want to tell like a 2-minute story. All right.
Yep.
You froze. So anyways, about the calling, and he's going to either come here or there. So I had the bird. You went with me, Billy. This bird, like, for a week. I sat in one spot, he went 100 yards further. He went 100 yards to the east of me. So I'd sit there, he'd go 100 yards west of me, and I wasn't really doing any calling. Couple late calls here and there. So I took you in there. We both sat, and we're 100 yards apart. We're where he's been going all week, right? Well, the neighbor was in there too, and I could hear him calling in the morning. That bird ran right into me. I whacked him, and I took Billy there because I wanted to increase our odds. Well, then the neighbor said, "Hey, I heard you calling. I knew it was going to be a calling match, so I went at it." And I go, "I didn't call. I've been on that bird for, well, obviously before season, and then, for a week or whatever season had been going on." And he kind of gave me the blank stare of, "You didn't call?" It's like, no, you had hens with them. And I'd been just sitting in there and trying to whack them, and I don't know if it was me and Billy being there together or the neighbor calling a little bit that just, all of a sudden they were strutting and he just giddy up and tried to come my way. And we walked home with the bird. So, I mean, there's a million situations for all of them.
No doubt.
Billy, I just want to make a comment about what Trigger said, that you almost got to read the bird and the mood of the bird. It's funny. Sometimes the birds, they want to go and they want to go hard. And other times it's a finesse game. So it's really a matter of being able to read the situation and read the bird. I think that's where the experience comes in. And once you figure that out, things really start to come together.
There was a bird like 7 years ago up on that hill that we hunt that we could not touch. And it was like,
I was going to say, is that the one we never killed?
No, I killed him. It was Mother's Day. You stayed home.
Yep.
We were up there the day before Mother's Day, and there was a logger up there. And we talked to him. We were like, every time we call this bird, he just freaking turns around and walks the other way. And he was like, well, I pull in here at 7:30 every morning with my pickup truck, and I can shoot him right out my window. He doesn't even move out of the field. And I was like, that's great info. So I drove in the next morning, parked my pickup truck right next to his log skidder. I actually left my turkey vest in the truck so I wouldn't be tempted with a turkey call. And that bird walked out at 15 yards, drumming and strutting, and I piled him. I called you at, 6:30 in the morning? You're like, no, you didn't. I'm like, yes, I did.
So what do you say we jump into, we're going on almost 2 hours here. You want to hit some questions, Jim? I know it's a little bit late here, but do you have any questions that have came through?
I'm actually not getting a ton of questions over here. A lot of people agreeing with what we're saying. The 12 gauge 3-inch, a lot of people shooting Remington 870s. One of the questions we got back in the beginning of this thing, guy was asking about cameras, and that's one thing that we haven't ran with a lot. We don't videotape a lot. I'm going to try to get into it this year, but he was asking about cameras, and do you run another camera for a different camera angle? Probably, like the guys with Hunting Public do. They got multiple cameras and GoPros on sticks, and So maybe somebody that does some filming. Looks like Brian's pointing to a flashlight on the end of the gun. I don't know if you're hunting in the dark or what you're doing over there, but
it's a Tacticam.
Yeah. So, I mean, we've messed around with filming, but we haven't done a ton of filming. So I don't know if you guys do more, if you guys got something on that.
Then anybody big on any of you guys filming?
I got some old film of Brian stacking and whacking.
Do you?
Yeah.
No, all the video we shot was old. We had whatever it was, that little handy cam. That was a nice Sony camera. And then we bought the digital camera and we shot some with that. But we got some great footage. Most of it was during youth season, and but we haven't really over the past years. We've kind of gotten away from that a little bit. So we have that camera, that digital HD camera is still a good camera, and so we ought to get out and film a little.
Yeah, so I bought a Bog tripod. It's got the switcheroo system, and I bought the camera head for it. I'm going to be running that a little bit this year. I've ran GoPro in the past, but the problem with GoPro is it seems like it's so far away that even when you get, I've done it with deer, I've done it with turkey. You get a good kill, you're like, oh man, it's going to be awesome to watch on video. It just seems like it's so far away, you don't really get good footage out of it. I don't know if the new GoPros have gotten any better, but that's what I've found. I got a Hero 4, and that's what I've found with that. We got just a little handy cam that's 1080p. And we've gotten some good footage with that. That's some of the stuff that we got to try to get up on the YouTube page. But going forward this year, that's what I'm going to be running. Hopefully I get a bunch on film, but that's all I've ran.
Tiny little camera, that does a fantastic job. That camera is really good quality.
Yep. What are you running over there, Brian? You running a Tacticam, or what are you guys using?
Yeah, we have a Tacticam 5.0 on one gun and a Tacticam Solo on the other gun. And then I borrowed my brother's Sony Handycam. I don't know. It's just a little.
Yeah, that's like
flip it open. Biggest
for home
pain in the butt
videos
of
and
this
stuff.
thing is, yeah. But I took that out to Colorado this September and videoed a little spike bull walking past my dad. That it was like the cleanest, crisp video that I've ever got. I wasn't expecting it to be as nice as it was. So rather than sending it back to my brother, I kept it for turkey season. And they're about to have a baby, so I should probably put it back in the mail. But yeah, the nice thing about those Tacticams, there's tons of different mounts for them. You can put them in a stabilizer, you can wear them on your head, or the clamp for the barrel, and you can put them on a scope. You can film through your scope. The cool thing about them is that they zoom. So the 5.0 at least does, and I think the 4.0 also. They zoom 8 power, 4 power, and maybe none. So, and they're Wi-Fi enabled. You can they're Wi-Fi, so you can hook it to your phone. So if he's like sitting 10 yards in front of me, I can actually turn my Wi-Fi on my phone, and I can start and stop the video, so he doesn't have to reach up and do it, and I can see what he's looking at. So it's pretty cool. You can review your videos on your phone too.
I usually run a GoPro, and yeah, the same thing, Jimmy. It's too distant. All my deer kills and my turkey kills just seem too distant. So I've switched over to Tacticams. GoPro did come out with my brother just bought one, so I'm waiting to see how it is. But it's a 360 cam, and it actually does it actually follows your target for you and actually pivots on its own and does some zoom function. I was looking at some reviews. It looks like a pretty cool unit.
So what are the Tacticams normally? Are they pretty reasonable in price, or are they along with a GoPro, or similar in price?
Yeah, I mean,
similar.
Yeah, they're pretty similar.
So I guess one of the other questions I just had rolling was if you're switching from mainly field hunting to woods hunting, what would you suggest for tips?
Or woods, I think the question was woods hunting to field hunting. So if you're used to hunting in the woods and not using decoys, and that's what I'm assuming the question was shooting for. It was Adam asked that question. Fisher.
So are you talking
Yeah.
about like a scenario where you're actually pursuing a turkey that transitions from the woods to the field? Or is this just
No,
like,
I think
let's
like
go
if
with
you're
that.
if you're no, I think it was primarily like if you're a woods hunter and then you're
Yeah,
going to
okay.
hunt the field.
I think we spoke to it pretty well earlier in the regards that you gotta kind of know what the pattern is of the bird.
Right.
I mean, if you're deep in the woods, the chances of them going out to a field is slight. But you know, if you have something that's set up within 100 yards of a field, chances are it's going to head towards the field. And your best bet is to set up between them. But I would trend towards the field a little bit, and I'd throw the decoys out there. Like I said, I've had very good success with 2 hens and a strutting tom. But yeah, I would try to set up in between the birds and the field, get in there really early, especially this time of year. Get in there an hour before there is any light in the sky. Get set up and just wait it out. I would suggest some light calling, get your decoys set out and get an idea where they're going to trend. I mean, if you got some birds on the edge and they don't go that direction, hey, at least you were in their house. You know where they're headed next time and just adjust for the next day.
I would say that's pretty good. You know, if you have multiple days to hunt, don't push it too hard on the first day. If you got some birds that want to call, want to talk, but they're not coming in, I wouldn't press it on the first day. If you got multiple days, I'd kind of sit back and see what they normally do, not get in the middle of them too much. If they're not going the way that you want them to, don't force something. If you can sit there and get intel on them and go after them the next day, I think you're better off personally.
For some of you guys that hunt more fields, I'm just wondering, because as Jimmy talked, we only kind of got one field that we hunt, but in the corners or just off corners for setup points? I mean, are turkeys more likely to steer clear of the actual field corner and then work the edges?
I think field birds tend to get away from edges as fast as possible. And I don't know if it's because of predators that might be nearby, but from what I've observed with field birds is they like to get out. The hens will run out. They're not going to stay right on the edge.
Right.
I've never seen them just kind of browsing on the edge. They'll go out 50, 60 yards before they tend to get comfortable and just start to feed.
It seems like when they enter the fields, they don't do it from a corner. We've seen some corners where like, oh, they'll come right in this corner, but they don't. They're 50, 60 yards off the corner. I've never seen one like come out of the corner. And that's when we started setting up farther back off the corner, and we do better. We kill more birds if you're off a corner, you know? Does that make sense? Field I'm hunting.
I think it's terrain. I think it's where they feel comfortable, because I've had plenty of birds come right out in the corner of the field.
Okay.
It's just where they feel comfortable, you know, and maybe I think they're just freaks about terrain. You know, they like to be where they feel comfortable.
They like to be where they can see.
They want to be where they can see.
I was just going to say that if you are on the edge of a field and you watch birds come to the field, it doesn't really, it's not about a corner or the end of the field or the side of the field. It's where they can get the best vantage point to make sure there's no predators in the field. And so that if they come up to a corner, if that's the high spot, or if it gives them a good vantage, they'll stop and look, and then they'll go out there. But a lot of times that means they're going to parallel the edge of the field and kind of scope the whole situation out before they actually enter the field. So you just got to kind of pattern them if you have the time. If it's in the middle of a hunt situation, he's going to a field, try to get in front of him, and you might have to adjust. You might have to let them get out in the field and then try to anticipate where they're going to leave the field and be in that spot. Yeah. That's probably the best bet, rather than try to sit in the same spot and try to call them out of it. If they're going to the other end, get up, loop, make a big loop so you're not, making noise and you're not visible from the field, and hit them from a different angle.
And I'm more worried about where they're going too.
Yeah.
And also if we're running decoys, that the decoys are visible when they hit the field.
Yeah, if you get a bird dedicated to the middle of the field, they're probably the hardest birds to kill. And if you can get lucky to find a spot where they're exiting, that's the only chance you're going to have to kill them once they commit to the field, unless they run into those decoys first thing, or else they're going to sit out in that field and they're going to mill around, and they are not going to come into your calls. Field birds are hard to kill.
Yeah.
Or just go out in the middle of the field with a ground blind and put your decoys 20 yards to the side of your ground blind, so that anticipate where they're going to come into the field. Make sure your decoys aren't in line with your blind so that they see them. Turkeys will walk right up to a ground blind. They don't care about it. You can put it in.
Don't give a crap about a ground blind.
You just dig a bunch of foxholes.
I wanted to dig holes. Yeah, I wanted to dig holes in the middle of the field because them things go out 200 yards and they just hang out for hours and hours.
Just getting your goose layout.
Yeah, that's what you and I should do, Trigger. That's what we should do. We should go out and dig a bunch of holes in each one of the fields that the farmers just bought. And
yeah, all meters would love you for that.
We're trying to put tile in for you, boys.
It ain't ours anymore. I'm grabbing a basket of bullets and I'm gonna dig a freaking hole.
All right, we do have some good questions there.
Yeah, so I got a couple other ones here. I got Christopher Harvey here, Uncle Chris. He asked, what do you do with a gobbler that's gobbling but he won't come in?
When they're hung up.
I got it.
Nobody has an answer for that.
I thought Bill was going to jump on that one. They're hung up. I
got a formula. It works for me 50% of the time, 100% of the time. Honestly, it really is. You take where that gobbler is and you put him in the center of the clock. And wherever I just played him from, I usually consider myself at the 6th position and he's at the middle of the clock. I'd never go to his 12. I usually try to go to either the 3 or the 9 and get that 90-degree angle side of him. And hopefully you can make that move. That's mostly with woods birds. So I didn't try to make that move. That move usually works.
He missed a step in that. Before he moves, he stops calling to him.
Oh yeah, definitely. Most definitely stop calling.
If a bird's gobbling and won't come in, just shut up on him. Make him curious.
Yeah, you got to give him that. You got to give him that time to make sure he just doesn't need some shut up time.
So do you usually find that they, after you change angle, that you'll get them moving?
Yeah, they usually like to come in on that 90-degree side. I've tried doing the whole 180 on them, thinking that's what they're going to like to do is go completely the other way. Yeah. And it usually doesn't work. It's picturing that clock and getting to that 90-degree side of them on whatever, honestly, usually is the higher ground side too. I have more luck calling turkey up to me than down to me.
Okay.
Also think about the sun. I never like to put the sun in the bird's eyes.
Good point.
You don't like to put the sun in the bird's eyes?
I don't think they like to walk in the sun. They rely on their eyes too much. Put yourself in the shadows and try to keep the sun out of his eyes.
I like that point, because if the sun is in his eyes, then your shadow is casting towards them.
Johnny, what are you doing when a bird's hung up?
It depends. Through the years, I mean, I've had situations where I would just start trying to get ahead of them. Then all of a sudden, you hear them off. I mean, when I was younger, I used to just call. They get hung up, and then I'd hear them move out, and I'd just keep chasing them. But a lot of the areas that I hunt, I have a really good idea of how the turkeys are going to move. So I think I got a good feel for my areas, and I can set up on a bird that maybe I won't get in early in the morning, but I can go to an area where I know that they're going to make their loop, because I can get a feel of if they're a woods bird or a field bird, especially at that time. and maybe I have a couple days of being on them, but being familiar with the areas. So if you're hunting homelands, really try to, and you can be aggressive with the birds, but if they get hung up and move out, just understand where they want to move to from there, especially if you're calling to them and they move away. Which way did they move away? And if you got a bird that you've been working that's not committing, shut up and go to that spot where you think he's going to go. And then I would start changing up your call pattern a little bit. I would change from, if you're doing like a mouth call, I would go to maybe a slate, but keep it really light, but get to where he wants to go.
So one of the things that I've got when we've had a hung up bird, I mean, a bird that's just hammering, but he won't come in. If you got two people, leave a guy and have the other guy drop back, start calling, heading in the other direction, kind of what he was talking about with the clock, you know, put the bird in the clock, leave a guy there and start swinging and start walking away. And we've done it before where we've had specifically Adam, because I know he's listening. You fucked up, Adam, because I worked a bird for like 45 minutes and wore a damn mouth call out, and I put the bird in his lap at 20 yards and he missed it. But that bird was going nuts for a long time. And we could not get him to come in. And I said, stay here, I'm gonna drop back. And that brought that bird right back in. I had to swing a couple of times and Adam moved up a couple of times. But just moving back and forth and going the other way and then swinging angles back and forth on him and wrapping around, it brought that bird right into his lap. And, you know, we could have worked that bird all morning. He'd have kept gobbling, but he never would have came in. So I think, you know, giving him that idea that hen's walking away from him and he's losing her, keeps him interested, keeps him moving. If you can leave a guy in the center of that and play him, I think you're going to be able to make something happen. And Adam just said, "Thanks a lot, you dick." I don't think he's ever forgot that one.
Well, they make a bunch of T-shirts and shit about all the things Adam's messed up.
Well, that's something that Jimmy and I did that a lot was, you know, we would, when we hunted together, we get a bird hung up. A lot of times a bird will be working a strut zone. You can tell they're moving farther away, then they're coming back, and then they move farther away and they come back. So we would time the bird, and when he moved farther away, one guy would move in on him, and then the other guy would change angle, hang back. And so that's a tactic you can do too, is if you have two guys, is to play that angle, but have one guy stay up front and drop your collar back. That works really good with a terrain too. If you're on the crest of a hill, you work your way over the edge of the hill. Sometimes it'll bring the bird after, you know, the hen, they'll come over to see and put them in a position where they can get a shot.
I mean, we did that last year after you shot your bird in the morning. We went to the other end of that field and that bird was hammering down there. And he was just in his strut zone. And we ended up getting to a certain point where you stayed and I kept crawling. And I just waited for him to gobble and I'd crawl a little bit further. And I ended up getting within about 60 yards of him. And it was about 11:35 and he was strutting away. And when he got away, I ended up bailing out. But that is one thing you can do if you can keep a guy back, calling, keeping him interested, knowing where he is. Send a guy to sneak up. I mean, go real slow, get low, play the terrain, and try to sneak right up on him. And I think if we'd have had another hour, we'd have made that happen. But
you took the words right out of my mouth. If we had another hour, I think we could have closed that deal, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's happened to you and I a lot where we run out of clock, you know?
Are we good on that question there? Anybody else got anything? Or Brian, Kirsch, you got anything on a hung up bird? Or?
You know, I think it comes back to scouting the bird, hunting the bird. If you haven't hunted the bird before, you need to just pull out. You need to sit there. You need to take a deep breath. You need to listen. You need to see where he goes. If it's a bird that you've hunted before and you know he will want to come your way, you need to just shut up and hang out. If it's a bird that you've never hunted before, he's hanging up, same thing. You just probably want to sit there, hang out, shut up, see what he does. See what he wants to do naturally.
Yeah, put the ball in his court.
I think it's 50-50 with the birds I've killed. It's either letting them tell me what they want to do or just going at them hard and they just run at you and you shoot them on the run at like 15 yards. You know, it's kind of a mix. So I'm a big fan of let them tell you what they're going to do. And if he's going to hang up, just stop calling. Hopefully, it depends. Are you going to work? Do you want to be to work at 8 o'clock in the morning? A lot of days when I hunt, I want to be to work. You know, and then on the weekend when it's gets 70 out by 9 a.m., I kind of want to go home and get some shit done. You know, so you gotta think about, do you want to hunt till noon or are you hunting till 8? So that's just what I do.
So
I think we got
your wife happy.
I think we got one more question here that I would like to touch on from Sean. He says, is there a hot time of the season to hunt? Or I think what he's referring to, is there a time that's better than another to get out there and hunt, earlier or later? Or what do you guys think?
I actually just responded to that. But
go ahead, Brian.
I was just gonna say that every day that the season's open is a good day to turkey hunt.
Amen.
Absolutely.
Great day to turkey hunt.
Opening day, opening week is always, there's a lot of pressure and it drops off sharply after that. And I've had some of my favorite hunts on the 30th and the 31st. Birds will work the entire time. You just got to find, a lot of times towards the end of the month, they're more lonely because most of the hens are sitting on nests. The season is timed to start at the peak of incubation. So the majority of hens in New York are sitting on nests when the season starts. Keep that in mind. So as the season progresses, the remaining hens are going to start dropping off of, being out there holding up that gobbler for you. And, it can be really good in the end. It also is really good in the beginning when they're not pressured and they haven't heard a call all year and they haven't heard truck doors slamming up and down the road all morning long. So every day is a good day in my book.
Yeah, I normally go ahead.
I'm not mad when I start seeing them doing their thing in March and April and everybody's going, oh, the season needs to start earlier. No, it doesn't need to start earlier. That means the hens are going to be on their nests. Well, sooner they're lonelier. So I really, youth day, honestly though, youth weekend is my favorite weekend to be in the turkey woods period with a kid. It's just always seems to happen.
Yep.
So on that myself, I would say probably that first couple of days, mainly based on pressure. You can get the first 4 or 5 days in and then the birds really start to get hammered. But then, like Brian said, I've had some of my best hunts at the end of May. I had a flock of birds up north that I saw in the field and I thought it was hens and gobblers. And I got set up on them the second morning I was there. Turns out they're all freaking gobblers. And when I got in the middle of them, they came running in and I dusted one at 15 yards. So I think if you can, I think a lot of people hit it hard early and then everybody burns out. I think if you can get out there at the end, there's a lot of birds that haven't been bugged in, 10 to 15 days that are still looking for it. So.
Yeah, I would say if you have the opportunity during the season to get out there, don't stop hunting. I mean, like you said, Jimmy, you can get burned out, but take a couple days off, but do not stop, man. I almost make sure that I have time reserved on May 31st, just as well as I have time reserved on May 1st, because I want to take it for all that it has to offer. If I have an opportunity to be out there pursuing turkeys, I want to be out there regardless.
Yep, good point.
Any more questions that came in, Jimbo?
No, I think that about did it.
What's the wildest shit that's ever happened to you guys? Somebody's got to have a crazy story about whether it be coyotes or
So we're talking youth hunt weekend here. I believe it was the last youth hunt with Uncle Chris. He had his son Joe out, and we had a bird that was hung up, and I was trying to do what we were talking about earlier. I tried dropping back and swinging around behind him, and I was on a real steep part of the hill, and I dropped down and I sat up against a tree, and he was gobbling, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to swing to my left now. So I got up and started moving, and there was a coyote standing there looking at me, and I kept on calling because the bird was gobbling, thinking the coyote would be like, holy shit, what's this? And just run away. And it didn't. It started walking towards me. And I let this go on probably longer than I should have. And I kept calling, and the bird kept gobbling. And ended up picking up a rock off the ground. And the coyote was so close that I flung a rock at it and hit it. And after that, I figured it was fine. I figured I scared it away. That son of a bitch ran right by Uncle Chris and Joe and ran up and spooked the turkeys off the hill. After I hit it with a rock.
Freaking yotes. Anybody else have anything wild happen to them while you've been out there calling birds in the spring?
I got one. I think I told you guys about this after the podcast or at the end of the podcast we did before. Youth
when you shit
weekend.
Yourself?
When you pooped your pants?
No,
that one?
that's story.
Oh,
that's just. We all have them. No, yeah. Youth weekend. Second day of the youth weekend. Kid missed one the day before. I took him to another property after he missed and called in some birds, and that didn't pan out. I got a call from a friend, said, hey, I got 8 or 9 longbeards in a field. You guys should come over and hunt them. And we went over there, set up a ground blind, kid, his dad, myself, and my buddy that brought us in on his, where he had permission. And sure enough, there was like 8 or 9 longbeards and a bunch of hens. And the first one came in right off the bat, right to the decoys. The kid missed once. The bird ran about 20 yards, not really away from us, just kind of in a circle. So we had another shot opportunity. He shot a second time. And at that time, the bird just kind of started walking off. So I started doing fighting purrs on my slate call. And that bird gobbled almost constantly for like 7 or 8 minutes, turned around, came back in, walked over a rock pile covered in briars behind the blind, popped out on the other side of the blind at like 12 yards. We unzipped the window, got the kid's gun pointed out there, told him to shoot again. He shot, missed. I'm still doing fighting purrs. The bird gobbled. He missed the 4th time, and the bird ran off into the field. And he turned around and looked at me and said, I need more shells. And I was like, I don't have any more 20 gauge. I didn't think we were going to shoot 4 times. They're locked in my truck like 800 yards away. I didn't know they were locked. I called my dad. I said, hey, could you maybe, we're in this ag field, in a hay field. So I thought, before we go too far, after that bird walked off, 4 longbeards came into the decoys and just stood in the decoys, and we didn't have any ammunition for the kid. We let them walk off. All the rest of the longbeards came out. They went down into the bottom of the field. They were breeding hens. I'm trying to get my dad to bring the ammo out of my truck up through the field in a truck, because I figure they're used to farm equipment and stuff. That might work. Then my dad reminded me that my truck is locked and the ammo is in my truck and I have the keys. So that wasn't going to work. And then the kid remembered that he had a box of 20 gauge ammo on his dresser. So dad called his wife, woke her up and asked her to drive the box of shells to the blind. And I have this all on video.
Yeah, the drop off drive through ammo from the mom through the ground blind window is absolutely priceless.
4-door white sedan up through the field, pulls up next to the blind, and I'm afraid she's going to throw the box and it's going to land outside the blind. So I make her parallel park closer to the blind, hand it through the window. She backs out. The birds are gobbling over the hood of her car at like 150, 200 yards. She leaves, and we reload the kid's gun. The birds breed all of the hens, and that 4-pack came back in, and he shot one of those.
Oh my God.
Of course, I ran my camera and my phone and everybody else's phone battery's dead, making all the videos for that, and never got the shot on video.
Oh,
That's awesome.
That sounds like a trigger story.
that
It
does
does
sound like the
sound
trigger story. What a shame he left. What a shame. Crying shame. Hopefully everything's all right. Or maybe he just needed another drink.
Freedom.
We could,
Well,
we
we've been
could
running
probably
for-
we could probably do a whole separate podcast on just stories, but
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Probably time to
Yeah, I
wrap
mean,
it up.
Yeah, I want to be mindful of everybody's time and
We need
appreciate
sleep.
that. So, yeah, you guys, I can tell you guys are, Brian, you look like
been
hell.
sitting
You're
in the-
fading quick.
They've been sitting
I
in
am.
the truck for
No doubt about it.
Hey, Slick, I think you need to take this video and caption every 30 minutes of Brian's progression. Also with the light in the background to the dark.
That's right.
Starting to fade. We need to see that. We need to see
Right.
that caption.
Turn on the dome light so we could still see him.
Yeah,
No, we appreciate you guys coming on, especially I know you guys have been going wide open for the last week. So,
Yeah, hopefully we're gonna get a white-tailed bird on the ground in the morning out here in Colorado.
so
Yeah,
was
good
this
luck,
trip
guys.
planned?
I would love to pursue those.
Did you guys plan this trip before
Yeah,
the
they're-
coronavirus, or is this something that you guys found yourself had some free time and you went after it?
I planned this whole thing going solo. The only reason that I got my good friend Brian is honestly to do well. The only reason he's available is because banquet seasons are closed down for National Wild Turkey Federation, but we've done a lot of hunting. Not a lot of hunting together, so it was honestly just good to get out together and just be able to work birds together and have that drop back guy, like you said, Jimmy. The drop back calling works when you need it to. It's always good to have that second guy to do the drop back when it needs to happen.
It's always more fun hunting with a buddy too, so that's good.
That's right.
no doubt.
Oh, definitely.
Share the moment.
And I planned this trip. I had to draw a tag in Michigan and I drew a tag in Colorado. And the other states I planned on all shut down. I was going to go to Nebraska and that they stopped non-resident sales. So we're just doing the 2 states and headed home.
So is this
Very
your
nice.
first day in Colorado?
Today was day 1.
Okay.
we got into town at like 4 p.m. yesterday, and then we had a contact that was setting us up at his camp because there's no camping on public ground, so we've had to camp on private ground. And so then it was another 3-hour drive to where we were going. But when it was all said and done, we rolled into the parking area. We didn't even camp last night. We parked in the parking area of some public land at 3 a.m. He slept the 3-hour drive and the 3 hours until sunrise. I slept the 3 hours from 3 to 6. And I'll tell you, in New York, we can only hunt till noon. And I've always been jealous of other states that you can hunt all day. But it might be a blessing that we can only hunt till noon in New York. Because
100%.
I don't know if I could do 31 days of this.
It's
Yeah.
exhausting.
So,
15
so let
hours
me
a
ask,
day.
let me ask you guys this, because I've never been in a state where you can hunt all day. Now, I look forward to that nap from 8 o'clock until 10 o'clock every day in New York. Is there like a 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock nap time for you guys out there?
I took one today.
We took one today and woke up to 5 Jakes coming in behind us. Silent. We were
Dude,
calling, we sat there for like an hour and a half, calling every maybe 15, 20 minutes. Really windy. We just got up on a knob that we know they like to roost on, or that they're frequently on, due to some intel that our friend gave us. And yeah, I didn't think I turned around. I was literally going to tell those guys, like, hey, we need to get out of the woods and get down to town to do this podcast. And I turned around and Andrew was giving me the
And it was a 5-pack of Jaspers, but I thought sure one was going to be a long bird, and it was going to get real.
Yeah.
What was wrong with the Jakes?
The Jaspers were I didn't even see a protruding beard other than the red head, and when the one passed by, I saw no visible hooks at 10 to 15 paces, and I want a whitetail that's got a full round fan on him, not the tall feather white the white feathers on a tall feather doesn't do it for me.
You know, we had one of those. We had one of those here in New York. I don't know how the hell it ended up there, but Dad, do you remember we were chasing that one season? Or were you not around?
They had the white.
He had white tips, and he freaking strutted out in front of Uncle Chris at like 45 yards on opening day, and he thought it was too far.
I don't remember that.
And we never ended up getting that bird. I got one of his tail feathers hanging up at the cabin.
Okay. No,
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was very unique.
It probably wasn't a Miriam's. It was probably an Eastern that was loose.
It had a white variation. I've seen some white winged ones that are pretty cool.
I've noticed too that a lot of the older Easterns, their tips, especially those start from the middle, they'll start to turn white. I got several that have, especially the center tips will be white, so it might just be an older bird.
Yeah.
There's a lot that just have white splotches on the upper tail coverts and some of the main tail feathers too.
I think this thing had I think it was the full fan was all white tip.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Would have been cooler if I shot him.
Yeah, it would have.
Yes, it would have.
All right, you boys ready to wrap this thing up? Anybody got anything else to close her or what?
We're ready to wrap it up. There you go.
Oh, look at her. That's beautiful.
Look at her.
Yeah,
Give her the juicer tomorrow, bud.
Yeah, that was on some privileged ground that we weren't privileged to. So, but we're hopefully gonna juice one and joke one tomorrow.
Nice.
Good luck.
Good luck, boys.
Spread it on. Thanks for having us.
Good luck.
Thank you everybody
luck,
for
guys.
joining us tonight. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for getting the youths out. Get those kids out.
That's
Got
right.
them tomorrow.
Get the youngsters out this weekend. Good luck, John, to you taking your nephew out.
Yeah, I'm taking him out. I took him out scouting this morning. I'm taking him out scouting tomorrow, and then hopefully we're gonna give one a dirt nap on Saturday.
Yeah, good for you.
Is he
Good
jacked
luck.
up on Mountain Dew?
What's that?
Is he all jacked up on Mountain Dew to get it done?
Yeah, I tell you what, he's a trooper, man. He's an absolute trooper. I took him out in the Turkey Woods last year, and I was like, oh man, this kid's kicking around, but he is all jacked up to go. I can't wait. I haven't done a youth hunt since my brother, and this kid is just going to be the beginning of what is going to be youth hunting for me for the next probably 10 years. My youngest son is 5 years old, and I have every age in between, and I just can't wait.
Good for you. Count your blessings. I don't have anybody left in that age. I need to adopt a
I do.
kid.
Trust me, I do. I'm very fortunate.
Maybe I need to get involved with that program with limb hangers to take a youngster out,
Well,
yes,
I tell you what, Bill, it's going to get to the point where I'm going to have too many. I might have to loan some out on that youth season.
That's right. You call me up, I'll take one.
All right.
For a couple of
the
years
Wyoming
there, we
County
were
chapter was working on a youth hunt too.
The Wyoming County chapter? Yeah.
Yeah, they were getting ready to advertise it when the shutdown started. So hopefully next year they'll have one going too.
It's good stuff.
All right.
All right, fellas. Good luck.
Good luck
Cheers.
this season.
Go
Frank,
Bills.
Travel safe. Noble, be good. Good luck, guys.
Keep feeding them.
Thank you.
Yeah, nice meeting you, fellas.
Nice
Hey,
meeting you.
we don't
Good
have
luck,
Joe
guys.
Burrow in the East. Amen to that.
Where did Burrow go? Did anyone see?
He went to the Bengals.
Yeah.
Angles.
I was talking football. I didn't know what that was.
All right, boys.
Good night.
Checking
man.
out. Feed them.
Yeah.
All right. See ya.
Thanks. See ya.
Bye-bye.